Program Director Jerry Bott. We've got Dan O'Donnell in the studio, Ben Yount in the studio, and Vicki McKenna, because there's a major announcement we've been teasing for 2 days.
When Mr. Belling decided to take his program and make it podcast only, obviously that means that we're going to have to make some adjustments.
The next generation is here.
In Afternoon Drive, it will be the Dan O'Donnell Show from 3 to 6.
Welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
No shortage of news on this Friday afternoon. On the first vote, Mike Johnson is reelected Speaker of the House of Representatives. Just a couple of minutes ago, a judge in New York sets a sentencing date for the President-elect of the United States. And coming up at 3:30, we hear from the chairman of the National Republican Party, Michael Whatley, all on day 2 of the afternoon edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome to it. If you would like to be a part of it, give us a call, shoot us a text on the adventknows.com talk and text line 414-799-1130 or toll free 1-800-838-9476. You can always email me, dod@iheartmedia.com. If you have news tips, if you've got something you'd like me to investigate, sources are always 100% fully protected. We are streaming live via the Dan O'Cam on X at Dan O'Donnell Show, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show, and on our YouTube channel. Join the conversation. There's always a spirited one going on in the comments. Be a part of Dan Nation. And we do humbly ask that you subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts.
House will be in order.
This was the moment when 2 Republican holdouts changed their votes and voted for Mike Johnson.
Mr. Self is recorded as Donalds. Mr. Self, Johnson.
And that was it. That put Mike Johnson over the threshold. He needed the final vote, 218 to 215, with 1 abstention over Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat minority leader. Mike Johnson, once again, Speaker of the House.
Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana. Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 119th Congress.
Now, everyone thought that, like last time, 2 years ago, this would be something that might take a while. After all, Republicans have an even thinner majority than they did following the 2022 midterms. And Mike Johnson, while he wasn't nearly as unpopular as Kevin McCarthy, was seen as in somewhat of a precarious position. But then, of course, President Trump, as he has throughout Johnson's speakership, really put in a vote of confidence for him, saying Johnson has his full support. And while there were just a couple of holdouts, Thomas Massie of Kentucky seems to be something of a Dr. No, someone who has to be persuaded to get to yes on anything. The real leader of this latest coup attempt wasn't a Matt Gaetz figure, who actually did take down former Republican leader Kevin McCarthy in Matt Gaetz. It was Chip Roy. All he wanted was the chairmanship of the Rules Committee. It's amazing how much true conservatism looks an awful lot like extortion. Well, Roy actually ended up voting for Johnson, and when 2 other holdouts did, on the very first vote. Technically, this was not a second vote. There was some confusion about that this afternoon. It was still the first vote. Members, the vote is held open, and members are allowed to change their votes in order to be cajoled, be convinced. This is how the game is played. What was that song from Hamilton? The room where it happens. No one wants to see how the sausage gets made, how the parties get to yes. I'm much worse at rhyming than Lin-Manuel Miranda. Sue me, but this is how it works. Roy very clearly, I think, got what he wanted. He changed his vote. He was just on Fox News a second ago explaining why he changed his vote. And I'm not saying this was a grandstanding move by the congressman from Texas. but for some reason, I am on Chip Roy's email list. I'm a talk show host from Wisconsin. How in the name of heaven and earth would I be relevant for information about Chip Roy? But Chip Roy wants everyone in the country to know about Chip Roy, which is why Chip Roy was on Fox News a second ago talking about, yes, Chip Roy. But everyone in the country thought it was going to be Republicans that again embarrassed themselves in front of the entire nation on this, the first day of the new Congress. But wouldn't you know it? It wasn't Republicans embarrassing themselves at all. It was the Democrats, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, promising that he and his fellow Dems will fart hard for the American people. No, I did not misspeak.
We will fight hard to defend the freedom of opportunity that makes the American dream possible. We will fight hard for the freedom to vote.
And you'd better believe that when Hakeem Jeffries promises that Democrats are going to fart hard, they will fart hard. After all, Jerry Nadler is still in their caucus.
We will fight hard for the freedom to vote.
Over in the Senate, presiding over this, the first day of the new Senate, and swearing in brand new members, 6 new Republicans giving the party the majority, was none other than the Vice President, Kamala Harris, who apparently doesn't know the Pledge of Allegiance.
Join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
Oh, no. Now, I know if I were a more charitable guy, and frankly, I usually am, I would chalk these up to simply Hakeem Jeffries and Kamala Harris misspeaking. After all, clearly, Jeffries didn't pledge that Democrats would fart hard for the American people.
We will fight hard for the freedom to vote.
That is just an embarrassing slip of the tongue. Kamala, I would think, knows the Pledge of Allegiance, right? Right?
Join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
I mean, it would be one thing, to the republic for which it stands, you forget about that. One nation under God, indivisible, or one nation indivisible under God. You screw up the order of that. But you face the flag. You're looking at the flag. You're pledging allegiance to the flag. And again, I might be more charitable. I might be more forgiving if her boss, the alleged current president of the United States, Joe Biden, didn't spend 4 straight years screwing up the Declaration of Independence.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. And we are all created equal. Endowed by the image of God, endowed by our Creator to be able to treat it equally throughout our lives. With certain inalienable rights, including life, liberty, etc.
So this got me thinking, ladies and gentlemen, and I know I can always tap into the creativity of my listening audience. Since it's clear that Kamala Harris has absolutely no idea what the Declaration of Independence actually is, how it actually goes, I was sort of hoping you could help her out with the first couple of lines. What would Kamala Harris pledge allegiance to? I pledge allegiance to, text me, 414-799-1130. That's the AdventNows.com talk and text line. We will read some of the funniest, some of the most creative throughout the show today. Again, a reminder, in a half hour, we have got the RNC co-chairman Michael Whatley coming up at about 5:30. It's going to be Wayne Larrivee, the voice of your Green Bay Packers, previewing the season closing game at Lambeau Field against the Chicago Bears before the Packers open up their playoff run. And then 5:20, just before Wayne, how bizarre, the weekly look back at the strangest stories of the past 7 days. But it's fitting that Kamala screwed up the Pledge of Allegiance, and that Biden can't stop screwing up anything, but most notably couldn't get the Declaration of Independence right, because the theme of Johnson's speech after he was handed the gavel was putting America first once again.
Today, my friends, our nation is the envy of the world. Why? Because we have been marked by a spirit and a people who are explicitly that. We are explicitly American. We don't try to be like other nations, and we recognize that a strong America is good for the entire world. And everybody around the globe knows that. That's right.
I know it, you know it, everybody does know it, because a strong America is a good America, a just America, a force for good in the world. However, that doesn't mean that America is everyone's doormat or America is everyone's piggy bank. The winning coalition, what totally and radically reshaped American politics, was, in effect, a dissatisfaction with the globalism of the past several decades. Now, that doesn't mean an utter rejection of international trade or neo-isolationism when it comes to foreign policy and American might, but a rethinking of what American might means. It doesn't mean interventionism. I recognize the post-9/11 era of neoconservatism and adventurism in the Middle East was a reaction to the worst attack on American civilians in this country's history. But we've evolved since then. We were able to broaden the base. We were able to spread the message of conservatism, of what I call Americanism, conservatism that every single person, with the possible exception of maybe 15 to 20% who are committed leftists and thus a little too comfortable with iron-fisted totalitarian communism or socialism, we all believe in the same fundamental principles. We all believe in safe, secure borders to keep the American people safe, that our fundamental duty at government of all levels is to protect and serve the American people, not people who come in from Guatemala or Honduras expecting to join in the benefits of American citizenship or something akin to it. Look, we have big hearts in this country. We want as many people to share in our bounty and our blessings, but we also understand that the current immigration system is so far beyond broken that it resembles a mob scene every single minute of every single day at every single port of entry along our southern border. So Johnson and his fellow Republicans pledged to fix that. And on day one, it seems that they're going to be aided by a flurry of activity from the president-elect. We will get into that and much, much more when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
Conservative thought, not just talk.
You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Cutting down any tree is dangerous for climbers or arborists in bucket trucks. To protect friends, I helped develop Cut & Go's automobile-mounted remote-controlled crane that grabs, cuts, and gently lowers large chunks of even the most dangerous or precariously placed tree simply and safely. Send pictures and Cut & Go will send a quote. If you can clean up after Cut & Go's half service puts trees on the ground, you'll save big money. A Trees and Tons movement. CutandGoTrees.com. That's CUTNGO trees.com.
Window Nation customers have been singing our praises for years. With fast, local service and an industry-leading 96% customer satisfaction rating, it's no wonder.
I researched window companies for the last year to see what the average prices were and the quality of work. Window Nation nailed both.
Get 50% off all windows, plus no interest or payments for 2 years. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Schedule a free estimate now. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION.
In almost every case, when Advent has solved a breathing triangle problem, it is a one and done. Because we don't want you to be a lifelong patient. We want you to be our next success story.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your fourth quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. And it's free for you to view. Call 844-763-2896 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today, 844-763-2896. That's 844-763-2896. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
The Milwaukee Admirals battled the Iowa Wild tonight at 7, and your chance to meet and experience an epic Dudley Boys reunion when WWE Hall of Famers Bubba Ray, D-Von, and Spike Dudley bring their iconic energy to the Panther Arena. Bargain seekers can check out MilwaukeeAdmirals.com to buy Fair Deal Friday tickets packages for as little as $24, and high school and college students can get the Ian's Pizza Student Night package for only $13. Saturday at 6, the Ads host Grand Rapids, and 4,500 fans will score an Admirals winter hat, thanks to TSMGI. It's one of the Admirals' most popular promotional giveaways, and fans are reminded it's one winter hat per person and not per ticket. That's Admirals Hockey, both tonight at 7, featuring a reunion of the Dudley Boys, and Saturday at 6, featuring an Admirals TSMGI winter hat giveaway. Admirals Hockey is presented by Landmark Credit Union. For ticket info, including special ticket packages, upcoming promotions, or stylish Ads merchandise, visit MilwaukeeAdmirals.com or download the Admirals app. And remember, don't just buy tickets, invest in memories.
Tune in every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. as Ellen Becker Investment Group highlights local people and organizations who are using their time and their talents to give back to make a difference in our community. Milwaukee's philanthropic community. Visit ellenbecker.com to learn more.
The following takes place in a Capital Heating and Cooling truck.
Step on the gas, Seth. Roger that, Captain. We need to get Miss Johnson's furnace repaired fast. She couldn't believe we do same-day repairs, or that Capital works 7 days a week. It's Sunday, and we'll have her heat back on today.
It's the right thing to do.
Same-day repair. 7 days a week. Same-day repair. 7 days a week.
Capital One, do you read me?
Loud and clear, Laura.
You guys almost to Miss Johnson's house? We need to get her furnace repaired fast.
Be there in T-minus 3 minutes.
Step on the gas, Seth.
I already stepped on it. I already told him.
Roger that.
We'll contact you when the Eagle lands. Capital One, out. Same-day repair. 7 days a week. Same-day repair. 7 days a week.
Capital Heating and Cooling can repair your furnace same day, 7 days a week. Schedule online at callcapitalcares.com.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference.
The Milwaukee Admirals will try to get back in the win column as they play their first game of calendar year 2025 Friday night against Iowa. Back to the left, a shot by Svechkov off the chest. Rebound and they score! Pre-game coverage at Panther Arena begins at 6:30. Face-off at 7 on Fox Sports 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
Oh, poor Kamala. So we ask you, our listeners, since she clearly doesn't know that she's supposed to be pledging allegiance to the flag, what would Kamala actually pledge allegiance to? Here are some of the best we have gotten in the first couple of minutes of the Dan O'Donnell Show today. I pledge allegiance to being unburdened by what has been. I pledge allegiance to the teleprompter that I can't read. Cackle, cackle, cackle. A lot of variations on this one. I pledge allegiance to my bottle of wine. And my personal favorite, this is a direct quote from a very creative listener who truly knows Kamala Harris. I pledge allegiance to the flag, which is a piece of cloth that has colors and symbols that mean things and is not like other pieces of cloth from other countries, which are different groups of people in areas that are not the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, our listeners. We will continue to read some of your best work. What would Kamala Harris actually pledge allegiance to throughout the Dan O'Donnell Show today? Now, everybody would be talking about this gaffe if it wasn't for the truly hilarious slip of the tongue, just because, yes, WISN and WIBA really did put on a 12-year-old in their afternoon drive time slot. Hakeem Jeffries promising to fart hard for the American people.
We will fight hard for the freedom to vote.
It's funny. I'm sorry. No matter who you are, no matter how old or mature you may be, no matter what responsibilities in talk radio and politics and the news business you might be given, farts are hilarious. Coming up in about 2 minutes, we will hear from the chairman of the Republican Party, Michael Whatley. I've made the executive decision because we went a little bit long in the first segment in our opening monologue. We're just going to delay the second commercial break. I was going to try to sneak it in there, but because it's very likely Chairman Whatley is very busy. Who am I kidding? It's a Friday afternoon. Nobody's busy. A Friday afternoon following the shortest work week in recorded history, just 2 days following New Year's Day. Is there anyone who actually went to work on New Year's Eve and Monday? Or did everyone just kind of take off? This is the week where you just take off. This is the year, rather, that you just take off pretty much almost that entire 2 weeks. You just burn the vacation days, maybe go back to work on January 2nd like I had to. I suggested that we start the brand new lineup on January 6th, but I was voted down because, of course, the new Congress is sworn in today. The new state legislature here in Wisconsin is sworn in on Monday the 6th. Congress will, of course, certify the presidential election results. And this is where all of the people 4 years ago telling me that Mike Pence could simply invalidate all the results with a wave of his magic wand would explain to me what would happen if Kamala Harris said, no, Donald Trump is an insurrectionist. He is therefore ineligible to be president. And I, in my power as vice president, am not going to certify these results. And in fact, I'm going to just declare myself the actual winner of the presidential election. There would be and should be riots in the streets because the vice president rather obviously doesn't have that power. Speaking of the president-elect, Judge Juan Merchan in New York, just as we went on the air at about 3 o'clock Central Time this afternoon. Of course, this is the sort of decision you got to get to know. And I think Belling did a really good job over the years of getting you folks a better understanding of how government works. You really need to understand how government people operate. Juan Merchan made a huge ruling today. Donald Trump is going to be sentenced on January 10th. He very strongly suggested that Trump is not going to get jail time, that he'll get probation, and everyone involved in this case knows it's going to be thrown out on appeal for reasons that I've explained ad nauseum pretty much for the last year straight. This was a nonsensical case that should have never been brought. The legal theory it was brought under, in fact, had never been tried against any other person in the history of the United States. This is why it's going to be tossed out, and it's going to be tossed out very, very quickly. Yes, I know there was just a defeat for Trump in the E. Jean Carroll case on appeal, but this is one that simply cannot stand. Merchan made it abundantly clear that this case was just not going to be one that goes through to the conclusion that I think Democrats wanted it to, with Trump behind bars. It was apparent as soon as Trump won the election that there was just no possibility that that could happen. Joining us now to talk not about that, but about the new Congress, about the great work that was done to elect Donald Trump and where we go from here as a Republican Party, is the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Michael Whatley, joining me here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Sir, it is great to have you back on the program. How are you doing this afternoon?
Well, I'm doing really well. I just walked out of the Capitol, had a chance to be in the gallery and see Mike Johnson elected as Speaker, and really excited that we were able to get that done, and very excited, frankly, that he is going to be the guy who's going to lead the House in terms of moving forward with Donald Trump's agenda.
Were you surprised that that happened on the first vote? Were you surprised that the few holdouts changed their vote and this got done as quickly as it did, especially after the Kevin McCarthy fiasco of 2 years ago?
No, I was pleasantly happy. I think, really, truly, we kind of expected that we were going to get there. And obviously, there are a number of issues that the Republican caucus has with overspending, inflationary spending, frankly, with wanting to see the government change, and that they wanted to use this as an opportunity, to kind of, mark those concerns and make sure that they're going to get addressed. They are going to be addressed. The president has made it very clear that he wants to work with Speaker Johnson, so I'm not surprised we got that done on the first vote. But I do think it shows you how serious people are about wanting to see changes made to the way that the government operates, because right now it is, bloated, it is wasteful, and it has a number of priorities that are out of step with the American people.
Now, that was sort of the focus of Speaker Johnson's address, that this was going to be a Congress that works hand in hand with the president-elect to deliver the change that the American people demanded, that this was a new coalition of voters who recognized that things were very, very wrong. What is the top priority for you as the head of the Republican Party? Is it, as Speaker Johnson and President Trump both suggested, illegal immigration, or is it getting down the sky-high inflation that has been crippling the American economy?
Yeah, the president has said very clearly multiple times that his number one priorities for day one are going to be to unleash American energy and bring down prices for every American family, and that he is going to secure the southern border and stop the invasion that we have seen coming across it. Those are the right priorities for day one. You think about it, Donald Trump has campaigned since 2015 on making America great again by restoring the southern border, rebuilding our economy, and keeping our communities safe, and making sure that we're strong enough as a country to protect our interests and allies around the world. He's never wavered off that. During his first term, that's exactly what he got into the White House and started working on. And when we see him get sworn in on January 20th, he's going to take that parade up Pennsylvania Avenue, and he's going to walk right into the Oval Office, roll up his sleeves, and get to work on those priorities.
RNC Chairman Michael Whatley joining me here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Speaker Johnson didn't just win re-election. You won another term as co-chair of the Republican National Committee following that sweeping victory. You have gotten a whole lot of credit, along with your co-chair Laura Trump, for delivering a strategy that worked to get Republicans to embrace early voting, to root out some of the major issues that plagued 2020. To you, what was the biggest thing that was done in 2024 that didn't happen in 2020 that delivered a win for President Trump?
Well, when you talk about winning a battleground state, right, you have a really, really tight election, and we had 7 battleground states that Donald Trump won all 7 of. There's really 3 key components. Number one, you have to have a great candidate run a great race. Number 2, you've got to get out the vote. And number 3, you have to protect the ballot. And I think that what we saw in 2020 was a great candidate who ran a great race, and we were able to get out the vote. but the election integrity issues were very front and center and really, truly a priority for us. So what we did this time around, we retooled our grassroots efforts to make sure that we were getting out every single conservative and Republican vote that we could, but we also built the first ever national election integrity program, and we were able to recruit 230,000 individuals, 6,500 attorneys to be in the room anytime that a vote was cast or counted. We filed 156 different lawsuits around the country to make sure that the states were going to protect the vote, that they were going to, count them the way that they should be counted. They were going to throw out votes that should not have been counted, and that we were going to have the right rules of the road in place to govern these election cycles. And I think having that system in place for the first time ever really did make a big difference.
It goes without saying that this is what Republicans can expect in battleground states moving forward, and really anywhere where there are tight elections, because one of the things that I think people still saw, Chairman, was California took about a month to count votes. You had vote counts being held open in other states, Arizona, Pennsylvania, which went for President Trump, but still you had here in Wisconsin vote counts. Once again, you had the late night vote dumps and things like that. California was the most egregious, but there are some who believe these votes being kept open for days and weeks actually did cost Republicans House seats. Is this the next sort of frontier in this ongoing battle against shady electoral activities?
It is, and that's why we filed 156 lawsuits in the last election cycle. That's why we worked with states from one end of the country to the other to change the rules, right? What happened in California is legal. The fact is that you're allowed to send in ballots by mail up to 7 days after the election, and then they are allowed to go back and try and cure those ballots that are faulty. They have to deal with the provisionals. The election cycle in California actually followed the law. To me, that's crazy. Yeah. You need to get your ballots in by Election Day, and then they need to turn around and count those votes. There's always some sausage making that goes along with the counts, with provisionals and with other things. That's why we have usually a week or two before the elections are certified in states around the country. But for a state like California to operate the way that they do legally is absolutely insane. And I think, we need to make sure, and I've got a court lawsuit right now that we're expecting to see in the Supreme Court this year in 2025 that hopefully is going to end that practice and make sure that we get those ballots in on Election Day.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we're talking about federal elections here. It would seem, yes, I understand each state runs its own election, right? We have 51 separate elections for president in the 50 states in the District of Columbia. But because we're electing federal officers, there should be some sort of federal standard. That federal law should have some say in how states run elections. Like California essentially had election month. Election day, the final day to get ballots in was not Election Day. And it seems to me that you and the RNC believe the same thing. Do you think the Supreme Court is going to go along with this?
We certainly hope so. We worked very, very hard throughout the course of this year to get the lawsuits advanced to the point where we can go up to the Supreme Court. We've also had a number of great conversations with the House and the Senate about moving forward with legislation to try and move, an election integrity bill. We have worked very hard in a number of states, Georgia, Wisconsin, North Carolina and others, to change the election laws to make sure that we have the right rules of the road in place. But we're not going to have much luck arguing for election sanity in a state like California. Yeah. It's going to have to come through Congress or the courts.
From California to here in Wisconsin, it's no rest for the weary. We have, for the second time in as many years, control of our state Supreme Court up for grabs. In the last one, sir, this election was nationalized like no other judicial election in the history of this country as liberals took control of the court. Conservatives can take it back. Have you been in coordination with Brian Schimming, the Republican Party Party of Wisconsin chair on how to, and I know there are very specific rules about what the parties can and can't do in nonpartisan elections like the state Supreme Court election, but have you two talked about the game plan in supporting the presumed Republican candidate Brad Schimmel?
We have, and I feel very, very strongly that we need to get a conservative into that seat. I've also had a number of conversations with the members of the Wisconsin congressional delegation as well. And so, what we want to do is obviously work where we can with the Wisconsin Party. And we also want to make sure that if there are other groups out there that want to be supportive, that they know what they can do. One of the big things that came out of this last election cycle is a ruling that allowed us to coordinate with outside groups. So we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of the opportunity that we have there. But I could not agree with you more. What we saw back in 2021-22 was the North Carolina Supreme Court went from Democrat to Republican, and we had a number of very important rulings that came down after that. The exact opposite that took place up in Wisconsin. It is a very high priority for me to make sure that we get that Supreme Court back in conservative hands.
Republican National Committee Chairman Michael Whatley joining me on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Sir, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us, but also all of the hard work that you and your co-chair did to get President Trump over the finish line, to help him win, to help us take back this country. Sir, you take a well-deserved victory lap.
Well, I really appreciate it, sir, and I appreciate your listeners, because without them, we would have never been able to deliver Wisconsin for President Trump. And as you know, as Wisconsin goes, so goes the rest of the country.
Amen to that. Sir, please don't be a stranger. He is Chairman Michael Whatley on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Always enjoy talking to him. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, it's Jerry Bott. They say it can be lonely at the top, and as someone who's run a staff for over 30 years, if I can tell you, there's some truth to that. When a business executive doesn't have someone to talk to, it can add weight to the cross that we all carry. If you're an executive who's ready to reach out to other execs for a perspective and to lift your spirit, I urge you to consider joining C-Suite for Christ. It's a faith-based organization dedicated to keep your soul healthy and strong. Attend a monthly gathering soon. It's a great networking opportunity. Or find out more at csuiteforchrist.com.
I'm Kelly Lammert with Clean Living Environments. Clean Living Environments' superior agitation, high-powered suction gets more filth out of your furnace ducts. Crud doesn't unstick from surfaces. It became glued in place over years of humid, then dry, then humid airflow. Vacuum cleaners agitate. Suction alone doesn't get carpet clean. Next, Clean Living Environments gets more wasted air out of ducts with AeroSeal duct sealing. Loosely fit together tin pipes snakes from the furnace through walls to vents. Loosely boxed off stud spaces and right-angle turns return unheated or cooled air to furnaces. Dank basement air is sucked into gaps and distributed throughout the house, while tonnage of heated or cooled air escapes before being distributed throughout the home, resulting in more dust, musty smells, not enough heated or cooled air to parts of the house, and larger energy bills. Clean Living Environments duct sealing reduces air duct leakage 70 to 99%, reducing gas consumption while increasing whole home comfort and cleanliness. Get more out of your ducts. CleanLivingEnvironments.com. That's CleanLivingEnvironments.com.
I'm Dr. Jennifer Grieve from Reset Restore MD, Brookfield and Mequon. Please listen to this real feedback from an R&R MD patient.
The weight of depression and anxiety were my burden to bear on this earth. After Reset Restore, my depression and anxiety are in remission. I have a breath of fresh air and the ability to work through roadblocks.
Intravenous ketamine infusions take about an hour, but the relief can continue for weeks, months, even a lifetime. R&R for Relief, Reset Restore MD, rnrmd.com. That's rnrmd.com.
Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you. It's deer season in Wisconsin, but I'm not talking about hunting. I'm talking, unfortunately, about car crashes. If you're unlucky and get into a collision with a deer, you could be entered into Mander's Hit a Deer, Win a Deer contest. That's deer as in John Deere, as in a brand new John Deere tractor mower. My friends at Mander want to add some positivity to what can be a stressful, traumatic event. So now through February 28th, anyone who hits a deer and has their vehicle repaired at any Mander Collision location will be entered into a drawing for a new Deere tractor. Hit a deer, win a deer, now through February 28th at all Mander locations. Start your repair today at mandercollision.com and find out why Mander truly is your best decision after a collision.
I'm board-certified plastic surgeon Michelle Boness. At my Brookfield MediSpa, getting rid of stubborn, resistant to diet and exercise fat deposits doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg, and doesn't have to come with the risk of potentially health-altering injectable pharmaceuticals. As a board-certified plastic surgeon, I perform cosmetic procedures, including liposuction 360. During liposuction, I don't count the number of passes I make on fatty deposits. I continue until achieving positive body transformational results. While most cool sculpting vendors charge per cycle, Boness Body and Face MediSpa charge one value price regardless of cycles required for aesthetically pleasing fat reduction. Next, Cooltone's electromagnetic energy is precisely applied to small, weak, hard to isolate with exercise muscles, causing rapid muscle contractions, strengthening, and toning. Unlike injectable fat reduction drugs, side effects of Cooltone are stronger sculpted buttocks, ab, and thigh muscles. Good for long-term health and looks. Your body, your life, love it. drboness.com.
Who's looking for a deal? Well, Cousin Subs has a better deal just for you. Cousin's new $10 meal deals are now available online only. Choose between a 7.5-inch ham and provolone, turkey breast, or veggie sub, a bag of chips or regular fry, a regular fountain beverage, and cookie at cousinsubs.com or on the mobile app for just $10. Now that's a better deal. Cousin Subs, we believe in better. Available at participating locations only. Offer subject to change without notice.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit.
In 21st century America, it's hard to know who or what to believe. The bureaucracy embraces its own agenda. The news media vilifies traditional American values. Social media is a sewer of disinformation. News Talk 1130 WISN is the counterpoint to all of it. We believe in intellectual honesty, and we believe that good and decent people are more than capable of processing that honesty and be better off for it. Believe us, because we believe in you. News Talk 1130 WISN.
We will fight hard for the freedom to vote.
That's what you get on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Serious interviews with powerful people like the chairman of the Republican Party and the occasional fart joke. That's why we say it's information and entertainment, irreverent fun, always, especially on a Friday afternoon. We ask you to join in that fun pretty much every day. I think we're going to do this because I enjoy hearing from you. I enjoy the creativity that you, our listeners, members of what we lovingly call Dan Nation, can come up with. Kamala Harris earlier today screwed up the Pledge of Allegiance while presiding over the Senate today. So we asked you, since she couldn't remember it's I pledge allegiance to the flag, could we get that little girl from the stump removal commercial that you hear on WISN like 12 times a day to teach Kamala the Pledge of Allegiance. She clearly knows it. I hear her reciting it at least once or twice per show. So we asked you, what would Kamala actually pledge allegiance to? Here are some of the best that we got over the last couple of minutes. I pledge allegiance to the French fries that I swear I made when I worked at McDonald's. I pledge allegiance to Barack Obama. That one is a little truer than I think Democrats would want to admit. I pledge allegiance to the celebrities I paid $1 million each to endorse me. I pledge allegiance to Venn diagrams. Remember Venn diagrams? I just love Venn diagrams. And one more we've got here. Let's see. I pledge allegiance to Willie Brown's. Hey, wait a minute. That's not at all appropriate. Come on now. Time now to name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil.
America is over.
Today's unhinged liberal of the day is Stacey Plaskett. Now, she likes to call herself a congresswoman from the U.S. Virgin Islands, but in reality, she is not. She is a non-voting delegate from the U.S. Virgin Islands because, of course, the Virgin Islands is not a state. You know that. I know that. It is not entirely clear that Stacey Plaskett knows that. Today, she went on a long screed about why she and other non-voting delegates from American territories were not allowed to vote for Speaker of the House. Votes that, of course, would have made Hakeem Jeffries the Speaker of the House for the Democrats and allowed him to fart as hard as he wanted for the American people. She starts off a speech to the House parliamentarian by saying, I stand here along with my other delegates representing 4 million Americans. And after about 30 seconds, the parliamentarian interrupted and said, you got a question for me or what?
Does the gentlelady have a parliamentary
I asked
inquiry?
why they were not called. Have some respect. It's not going to take...
Gentlelady is recognized.
I asked why they were not called from the parliamentarian, please.
Delegates-elect and the resident commissioner-elect are not qualified to vote.
Wrong.
Representatives-elect are the only individuals qualified to vote in the election of a speaker. As provided in Section 36 of the House Rules and Manual, the speaker is elected by a majority of the members-elect voting by surname.
This body and this nation has a territories and a colonies problem.
Colonies.
What was supposed to be temporary has now effectively become permanent. We must do something about this problem so that these 4 million...
They all start applauding when our mic gets shut off.
But I have a voice. And
they cut her mic off again. And she's saying, I have a voice. Yeah, lady, you do. Just, not right now. My favorite part of that has to be the parliamentarian saying, okay, he literally read the rule to her. She's, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. I am a powerful woman, and I am speaking, and I deserve a voice and a vote. Stacey Plaskett, your unhinged liberal of the day. Shock and awe promised apparently by the incoming Trump administration, not in the first 100 days, but as Trump kept saying during the campaign, on day one. What could that possibly entail? We will get to it when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
It's time for Rapid Traffic.
Westbound on 94, slowing from 25th to Mitchell Boulevard, then out in Waukesha County. You got a stall on the exit ramp to Highway 164. You could get by on the left. Eastbound delays from Mitchell Boulevard to 35th. If you see any issues, call the Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank total traffic tip line at 414-944-5111.
This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
We're the Libby family
at Do-It-Yourself Bathroom Center near State Fair on 62nd and Greenfield.
For over 41 years, we've helped Wisconsin folks create beautiful, affordable, and durable bathrooms.
You'll get our expert guidance and long-lasting quality products.
And nobody beats our prices.
I did it myself at Do-It-Yourself.
I'm Total Health's Jay Johnson, the Falls and New Berlin. Remember looking forward to playing with your kids or grandkids and having the energy to? At Total Health, we hear it all the time. People say I'm too tired and worn out to be the person my spouse married or parent or grandparent my family deserves. Sound familiar? Total Health naturopaths find root causes of fatigue and lethargy, then treat you, the whole person, restoring energy and overall wellness. It could be dietary or thyroid function, or maybe you just need to drop some weight. Big Medicine's weight loss injection causing stomach, gallbladder, intestinal, and vascular problems works for them. Sick people are profitable. If excess weight is a contributing factor to you not feeling your best, Total Health naturopaths will never judge you. We'll be honest, providing the tools and motivation to lose weight. Then we'll be with you throughout your journey.
800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
I'm Victor Harding, a true trial attorney at Warshevsky Law. You've heard our advertising for years. While it's been effective introducing Warshevsky to injured people in need of maximum judgments and settlements, most of our clients come from personal referral. Referrals from former clients grateful for the settlement or trial judgment Warshevsky won on their behalf. Thus, they're recommending us to friends and family. Referrals from people in the community, including other lawyers and judges who want to make sure their friends and family are taken care of. Still not sure? Ask around. Warshevsky is referred by Wisconsin law enforcement officers who've seen Warshevsky attorneys in action, desperate to make sure friends and family receive just compensation. Insurance adjusters, often our adversaries, refer their family members hurt in accidents. They know the work we do. They all refer Warshevsky because, big case or small, we can help. If someone you love is injured, please let them know, because at the end of their ordeal, their injury is about the money. Warshevsky.com.
Tune in every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. as Ellenbecker Investment Group highlights local people and organizations who are using their time and their talents to give back to make a difference in our community, Milwaukee's philanthropic community. Visit ellenbecker.com to learn more.
Tom Nichols with Meisner, Tierney, Fisher & Nichols.
Attorneys don't work here because they want to work less and make more money. Those that stay take pride in exceptional legal work that helps good clients thrive and stay out of trouble by keeping them in compliance with the multitude of laws and regulations that can help a business or hold it back. Attorneys here are driven by the caliber of the work that we do. It's in our Kool-Aid. Our clients know firsthand that we are constantly motivated to surmount whatever legal challenges they may face, and that makes for loyal clients. High integrity and earned respect have been hallmarks of our firm for quite some time. We've been representing businesses here in Wisconsin for over 170 years. When it comes to choosing an ally to protect your business or to assert your rights, why not choose somebody who will be thinking about what's in your best interest?
Good clients deserve good lawyers. Meisner, Tierney, Fisher & Nichols. MTFN.com.
Are you tired of exposing your retirement to stock market risk? How would you like the potential to participate in credited interest from market index returns and limit the downside? Join Joe Brown for the Safe Money and Income Radio Show on Sunday at 7:30 a.m. and 8 p.m.
Window Nation customers have been singing our praises for years. With fast local service and an industry-leading 96% customer satisfaction rating, it's no wonder.
I researched window companies for the last year to see what the average prices were and the quality of work. Window Nation nailed both.
Get 50% off all windows plus no interest or payments for 2 years. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Schedule a free estimate now. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
As promised, I have in the studio here with me Program Director Jerry Bott. We've got Dan O'Donnell in the studio, Ben Yount in the studio, and Vicki McKenna, because there's a major announcement we've been teasing for 2 days.
When Mr. Belling decided to take his program and make it podcast only, obviously that means that we're going to have to make some adjustments.
The next generation is here.
In Afternoon Drive, it will be the Dan O'Donnell Show from 3 to 6.
Welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
President Trump's sentencing date set for January 10th, 10 days before he is sworn in as the next president of these United States. Today, new Congress members sworn in on this, the first day of the new Congress, new senators, new House representatives. On Monday, January 6th, what we lovingly call here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, the High Liberal Holy Day, the Feast of the Immaculate Insurrection. The date that has basically been the focus of everything they have done for 4 consecutive years. It's also the day that the election is certified, also the day that the Wisconsin legislature is sworn in, and there's another leadership election for both the Senate and the Assembly. Will Robin Vos and Devin LeMahieu keep control of slimmer majorities in both of those chambers? We shall see on Monday. Of course, we will be here to cover it all, as we always are, 3 to 6 every single weekday on the Dan O'Donnell Show. If you would like to join us, 414-799-1130. That is our AdventNews.com talk and text line, 1-800-838-9476. Because Kamala Harris today, well, it seems like she was a little rusty. Probably doesn't say the Pledge of Allegiance very often. She screwed it up.
Join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
Because she flubbed it, we think she needs some help. We are asking you, our listeners, what we lovingly call Dan Nation, help her out a little bit. Help a sister out. What does Kamala Harris pledge allegiance to? Help her fill in that first line. Some of the best suggestions that we have had over the past couple of minutes. I pledge allegiance to my pantsuits. I pledge allegiance to the coconut tree I just fell out of. I pledge allegiance to the yellow school bus. You remember the yellow school bus? Who remembers the yellow school bus? We love the yellow school bus. And my favorite, I pledge allegiance to the fact that I will kill the nanny if she ever gets near my husband. Man, some of these are brutal. If you would like to email me, we are always accepting news tips at dod@iheartmedia.com. It's like the old DOJ, or more accurately, when the Department of Homeland Security was first enacted. If you see something, say something. Email me. Sources are always, and I mean always, fully protected, dod@iheartmedia.com. You can watch the show streaming live at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, on Facebook, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show, and on our YouTube channel as well. Brett Baer, while covering the House Speaker vote over on Fox News this afternoon, said that he has heard there is going to be such a big flurry of activity, so many executive orders coming in, starting at exactly 12:01 p.m. after Trump is inaugurated on January 20th, that it's going to be like, well, going back to the old Bush era, shock and awe.
I've been told that it's going to be shock and awe as far as executive orders and all the lists of things that are going to happen on January 20th, and that they're going to throw a lot in the first day and maybe a couple of days that will have to be digested, but it's action that's happening right away before Congress gets its act in gear and passes whatever it passes.
Well, it's going to have to be a lot to match what President Biden did on his very first day, very first couple of days in office. He messed things up pretty darn good, is what he did. You might remember that he paused the Keystone XL pipeline. He halted construction on it, and along with it, issued a number of other executive orders aimed at essentially diminishing America's domestic energy production. This, in turn, helped really turbocharge inflation because you already had a supply chain crisis that turned into a full-on supply chain meltdown. And along the way, the price of fuel is getting higher and higher and higher. One of the single biggest costs in the supply chain is, in fact, getting the goods from point A to point B. This was a big problem. Even bigger, however, was rather obviously President Biden's executive actions on the border. Ending Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, which didn't actually take effect until about a year or so later, but making it very, very difficult for border agents to do their jobs, and essentially transforming the job of ICE and the Border Patrol into glorified chauffeurs or Uber drivers ferrying migrants all across the country. In fact, there was a soundbite that we played. I believe it was from 60 Minutes. It might have actually been from ABC News. And it was ABC News because it was Martha Raddatz, and she was at the border. She was down at the border, and she asked a migrant, "Why are you here?" And he said, "Well, because Joe Biden's president, and we can come here now." And she said, "So you're only here because of Joe Biden?" And of course, the guy says, "See, yeah, Obviously, what President Trump can do very, very quickly is to take action to effectively just put back in place all of the things that Biden dismantled. One of the biggest issues on border security, in fact, I believe the single biggest issue is enforcement. We have enough laws. Now, I would make crossing the border a felony, punishable by many years in prison to scare off people from attempting to do it, but obviously there's no political will on either side of the aisle in Congress to do so. So barring that, the single best policy that was ever enacted, and I mean ever enacted, was in fact remain in Mexico. It was formerly known as the Migrant Protection Protocols, and it really did do just that. It protected migrants by dissuading them from making what oftentimes is one of the biggest mistakes of their lives, making that dangerous trek northward with some of the most dangerous and awful people in the entire world, the drug cartels, which have taken over coyote operations, ferrying oftentimes unaccompanied young children across the border. And we don't know where more than 100,000 children are. Let me repeat that. We don't know where 100,000 plus children are. They're just gone. Now, many of them are living illegally with family members or friends, and they're perfectly safe in the interior of the United States. They might not be, because we don't know. And the events of the last couple of days should tell us that we need to know the comings and goings of every single person who comes into this country or goes from it. In other words, we need to have a secure border, and a big way to do that is remain in Mexico. The biggest way that people are getting in, they're no longer just sneaking in and, running through the dead of night. They're just presenting themselves to Border Patrol agents because of this cockamamie interpretation that we have of America's asylum laws, where someone can seek asylum because it's poor in their country, because there are a lot of drugs in their country. There's a lot of poverty. Conditions are bad, so they need asylum from the drugs and poverty. Well, if you can't seek asylum from America's inner cities because of drugs and poverty, you sure as heck can't do it from Guatemala. Because this has been seen as a way to get into the country while you're given a court date, which of course 99.9% of these people never show up for, because again, they know just as well as you and I do that their asylum claims are bogus. They live in the country illegally. What Trump did was to force them to quite literally remain in Mexico until they would see an immigration judge who would hear their claim via teleconference. They would Zoom in a judge, and the judge would hear and invariably reject the claim of asylum. Most people say, well, we can't get into the United States. We know our asylum claim is never going to be granted, so let's just not even bother paying $10,000. That's the thing that just absolutely boggles my mind about the people who say they're humanitarians, the people who say they care about these illegals, they care about the innocent people. They are going into incredible debt. These are the poorest, most vulnerable people. It's not Honduran doctors and El Salvadoran lawyers who are coming northward. These are day laborers. These are people who are poor by Central American standards. They're being forced to pay $10,000, $20,000 a head to drug cartels, which they obviously don't have, and have to work off their debt. So they get menial jobs in the United States, and all of their salary goes to, when we say they're wiring money back home to family in Mexico, no, oftentimes they're not. They're giving the money to the drug cartels. The drug cartels are sitting there and say, okay, you just got the wire transfer. Guess who gets that? Because we got your loved one to the United States of America. And the Democrats are aiding and abetting this. You can shut it down. There just hasn't been the will to. You can deport millions of people who have committed crimes or who are suspected of committing crimes. It's easy. We know who they are. Oftentimes we know where they are. There hasn't been a political will to do it. But now the American people spoke with one voice and said, you darn well better do it. This is the mandate we give to you. Two things. One, get America's broken illegal immigration system under control, shut down the border, get the undesirable people who were allowed in to become the undocumented voters for the Biden-Harris regime, and to fix the economy, to make America affordable again. Speaker Mike Johnson touched on both of these points when delivering a very effective, very good speech outlining what the new House and the new Congress were going to do in conjunction with President Trump.
The path of prosperity has long been paved with policies that put America and Americans first. And that is what we will champion in the 119th Congress. We have a mandate, and that was shown in the election cycle. The people want an America First agenda. They do.
Yeah, they do. I do. You do. We do. And it's really simple. Johnson listed 7 keys to American prosperity. There are 2. 1, reduce inflation. Stop the printing of money. Stop the weak dollar policy that has led to hyperinflation. Get America self-reliant again by reducing our dependence on the most unstable nations on earth that compose OPEC, or possibly the European Union, which is dependent upon Russia, thereby increasing the cost of importing European goods. Make things here in America. Reduce the cost of goods that are transported from China. Reduce the dependence upon China by incentivizing manufacturing things in America. During the first Trump administration, it was proved that this is not impossible. It is not impossible to make things here in America, again, provided that companies are incentivized to do so. This is why I think one of the most brilliant things that Trump has proposed is getting American companies' tax rates down to 15%, provided that they meet thresholds for manufacturing in America, creating and sustaining a certain number or percentage of their workforce that are American jobs, and making sure we are as independent as possible. And all that starts with energy independence. In fact, I would argue it starts and ends with energy independence. America needs to be the single biggest exporter of natural gas, of crude oil, of gasoline, of all of it. We need to double the next oil-producing nation because we've got the supply. We just haven't had a will before to meet that demand. Second, the border is an economic issue. As much as people like to separate the two, you have got a whole lot of people who come into this country and are doing low-skilled and I don't mean this, trust me, I do not mean this in a derogatory way, unskilled jobs. Some might say I'm doing one right now. It's an unskilled talk show host job. So what I mean by that, entry-level jobs, cashier at McDonald's, and, you know, hey, the President of the United States just a couple of months ago was working the drive-thru at a McDonald's, all right? If he can rise from lowly fry cook to President of the United States in the span of 4 months, you can do great things too. What I mean by that is a job that people take, hey, they're in high school, they're working their way. It's just my producer, Dave, our news guy, Dave Michaels, his first job, McDonald's. My first job, I thought it was a skilled job. I sold shoes at the finish line down at Southridge Mall. Okay, that was my first job. I loved every second of it. I was are you kidding me? Do you think I would be a good salesman? Oh, my goodness. Do you know what I did the best? I was pretty good at Spanish in high school. And you would have on Sunday, it was very, very heavily Hispanic crowd that would come in. And I always wanted to work on Sundays because I would get the little families and I would speak like broken Spanish to the moms. And oh, did they think that was adorable. They would buy all the shoe cleaning products that I could sell them. And the other guys were totally not the drug dealers who would come in and pay cash for like 10 pairs of Jordans. Oh, it was wild. I'd be like, I'm sorry, man, you're a size 9. The only thing I've got left is a 12. They'd be like, it's okay. I'll just wear it. What? Bro, they look like clown shoes. Okay. See, I mean, and they pull out this like giant wad of money. It was like later on, it looked like Breaking Bad. Or it looked like the second time in a row I'm talking about Squid Game, where if you see season 2, he's got all the money he won on a bed. That's how I imagine some of these guys would do it. In any event, the lower skilled jobs, you've now got American citizens competing with people who can undercut them on price because they are so they're willing to work for less. Moreover, the cost of housing necessarily is going up because, wouldn't you know it, as we see an influx of millions and millions of new people, we're suddenly seeing a supply crunch of available housing. Isn't that weird how that works? Turns out people need housing. What happens when there is not enough supply to meet demand? Basic economics tells you prices go up. Because we suddenly have influxes of massive groups of people, many of whom are not culturally and have no desire to be culturally assimilated to the broader American culture, you are seeing all manner of problems. You are seeing all manner of problems with migrant crime. Some of the most vicious the poor woman burned alive on the subway in New York. I honest to goodness, I'm pretty well desensitized, folks. I am about as desensitized. I mean, I came of age in the ISIS beheading era when those things were on the internet. So trust me when I tell you I have seen it all. Seeing that woman, like the flames just coming out of her back, my heart broke. This jackass is high on God knows what, drunk off his mind, laughing about it. He threw a match on her because he was upset. She apparently was a homeless woman. She was sleeping on the subway. Yeah, okay, yeah. Everybody's upset that you've got bums sleeping out. You don't set them on fire. You've got all manner of Americans who should be here, but they're not because of people Joe Biden left in. Because of people who have no right to this country, who we would never choose, who no nation would ever choose to allow in. And I know there was a big debate last week about H-1B visas and legal immigrants and all of this and highly skilled labor and this. We're not talking about that. We're talking about quite literally Venezuela opening its prisons and asylums and saying, okay, go with the cartels now, one-way ticket to America. It stops. And hopefully it stops now. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show, conservative thought, not just talk.
In Oak Creek with an accident at Rawson and Howell, southbound on the Rock Freeway at Evergreen Drive. Grass fire has been extinguished, but now you got a crash blocking the left lane at Highway 164. If you see any issues, call the Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank total traffic tip line at 414-944-5111. I'm Kevin Henry.
This report is sponsored by Positive Coaching Alliance.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Hi, I'm Willa Voss. I'm 8 years old. Mom and Dad own Cut and Go Tree Service. Yes, they did name me after a tree. Our family loves this country and the freedom it provides. Every morning, I look forward to starting the school day with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please say it along with me, even if you just say it in your mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. American patriots will enjoy a 5% discount for flying the American flag and mentioning this commercial when the Cut and Go remote control, automobile mounted, articulated crane, grapple saw operators are putting your dead trees on the ground or removing large branches that grew over something important. An all-American Tons of Trees movement. CutandGoTrees.com. That's CutandGoTrees.com.
At Ross Dental New Berlin and Waukesha, our 3D scanners and Ceramic mills create custom ceramic crowns, veneers, and fillings, allowing true same-day repairs, even for teeth in need of substantial restoration possible. When most dentists say one-day smile restoration, they mean 2 or 3 visits. Upgrading your smile with sedation dentistry, caring staff, comfort and affordable payment options in one day is simple. Visit Ross Dental New Berlin or Waukesha, and very soon you'll smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalWI.com. That's RossDentalWI.com.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my community and those I care about safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you in Waukesha, Milwaukee, Muskego, Brookfield, Heartland, Cedarburg, and their Waukesha Fleet and Specialty location. If you have a business with a multi-vehicle fleet, Mander is the place to go because their team understands you can't have a vehicle out of service for a while, so they work quickly and efficiently to get you back on the road and serving your customers as fast as possible through expedited fleet repairs. Mander has been serving their customers and their community for well over 20 years, and they know that the key is expert workmanship and fast turnaround times combined with the sort of customer service that you'll only find at a family-owned local business like Mander. Start your repair today at mandercollision.com and find out for yourself why Mander truly is your best decision after a collision.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules. All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference. Hear the difference. The worldwide resources of Fox News and Milwaukee's home for factual, fair, and balanced coverage. News Talk 1130 WISN.
I loved playing high school sports. I loved the competition, the camaraderie, the bands, the crowds, all the pageantry, and I wanted to keep playing. But I graduated. No colleges called, and neither did the pros. So, to stay close to the game I loved, I decided to become a high school official. You know, a referee. When I played high school sports, I learned the importance of integrity, good sportsmanship, and respect for the rules. Now, as a high school official, I get to help model these same values to others. Maybe the colleges and the pros didn't call, but the kids in Wisconsin did. And now, I'm enjoying the competition, the camaraderie, the bands, the crowds, and all the pageantry of high school sports all over again.
Interested in becoming a licensed high school official? Go to highschoolofficials.com to learn more and begin the application process.
President Biden right now at the White House awarding the Medal of Honor to 7 U.S. Army veterans a day after awarding the Citizens Medal, one of the highest that the nation can bestow to a civilian, to Liz Cheney?
Elizabeth L. Cheney for putting the American people over party.
Yeah, what did she do? She led the investigation into Donald Trump and the Feast of the Immaculate Insurrection, the liberal high holy day, January 6th, the fourth celebration scheduled for this Monday. Now, January 6th formed the basis of pretty much everything that Democrats have done over the past 4 years, including 2 different prosecutions of Trump. One federal, which was dropped almost the second Trump won the election, kind of giving up the game there, fellas, when you drop the totally not politically motivated prosecution. The second political season is over. And the second one in Georgia wasn't technically about January 6th, but they tried to pretend that Trump asking the Secretary of State of Georgia for an investigation into the election, because in Georgia the Secretary of State can investigate elections, that this was somehow criminal in nature. They prosecuted things that are very obviously protected, not just for a president of the United States, but for all American citizens. They criminalized speech. They criminalized the notion that Trump could question the results of an election, something that Democrats themselves did literally every single time a Republican won the presidency this century. In fact, this January 6th, we are going to see if the streak can continue. Will there be a Democrat who rises on the floor of Congress and says they object to the certification of the election because, I don't know, insert a reason? Donald Trump is an insurrectionist, would be the one that I would guess, and thus ineligible under the 14th Amendment to assume the office of the presidency. But the left, all the while, they are politicizing. They are weaponizing every single investigative and regulatory and prosecutorial arm of government they can find. They're fretting about the fact that Trump will get into office and immediately politicize and weaponize those arms against them. Joy Reid on her show last night, wondering if the investigation into the terror attacks on New Year's Day could be impeded by the fact that Trump will so weaponize the FBI.
Does this get worse? I assume it gets worse when we have a much more politicized FBI, which we soon are going to have, one that is going to respond to what the boss wants. And the boss wants this to be about the border. And so when the boss says it's the border, do agents get to keep their own independent thoughts and try to investigate, or are they then now investigating for an audience of one or an audience of their FBI director and the president?
Now, I know Joy Reid is not the brightest bulb in the old Christmas display, but you gotta hope that even she understands the irony here, because what she's describing is literally what's been going on for the past 4 years.
From the Lynch Truck Center, Total Traffic Center, crew still with a crash in Oak Creek at Rawson and Howell. Over on 894 eastbound, heavy from the Hale interchange to 76. Give yourself 10 over to the Mitchell. Now, if you see any issues, you can call the Total Traffic Tip line at 414-944-5111. I'm Kevin Henry.
This report is sponsored by Positive Coaching Alliance.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Next Tuesday, you'll go to your business. You'll stand there in your office and make decisions. I think when you make decisions, it might be well for you to ask yourself, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Is it easier for your business to buy things you need to increase profitability than it was 4 years ago? Does your business have more or less unemployment? Is your business as respected as it was? Do you feel your business is on as secure financial grounds as it was 4 years ago? And if you answer all those questions, yes, why then, I think your choice is very obvious as to who handles your brand and marketing. If you don't think the marketing course is what you would like to see a business follow for the next 4, then I could suggest another choice that you have.
And it is improving the economy one business at a time. CreativeGeniusMarketing.com. I'mADishWeb.com.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Life can be unpredictable, but your safety doesn't have to be. With Medical Guardian, you get a team ready to support you during emergencies like allergic reactions, falls, and strokes. For the first 50 callers, we're giving away a free medical alert device with your 24/7 protection plan. Call 800-495-5600 now and mention Radio Gift. That's 800-495-5600 with code Radio Gift. Medical Guardian, protection you can trust whenever you need it.
Warshawski trial attorney Frank Crivello here.
Folks, I'm Victor Harding. Frank is selected Best Lawyers 2024 Complex Litigation Lawyer of the Year.
More impressive is Victor Harding named Product Liability Attorney of the Year again for 2024.
It may sound boastful to mention these prestigious awards.
It's not boastful considering if you or someone you love is injured, you need to know 2 attorneys from the same personal injury firm being chosen by other lawyers and judges for these caliber of awards is very rare.
Heaven forbid you ever need an injury claim made on your behalf. If you do, the quality of your attorney and law firm will have a greater impact on the outcome than even the facts of your case.
Former clients, other lawyers, judges, law enforcement officers, and even insurance adjusters,
often our adversaries,
refer their family and friends to Warshawski because they know Warshawski will achieve maximum compensation.
Injured? It is about the money.
Warshawski.com.
That's Warshawski.com.
My quality of life is so different, but one of the first things that I noticed was my breathing. I don't ever remember being able to breathe like that.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
2025 is here, and so is the new and improved free iHeartRadio app. It's everything you love about radio in the palm of your hands. The live radio dial, presets, scan, even lyrics. And iHeartRadio has all of your favorite artists, playlists, and podcasts too, anytime, anywhere. Kick off the new year with the new and improved free iHeartRadio app. Get it today.
Securing America.
You may not live in a sanctuary state or county, but you still pay places like California and New York to incarcerate their criminal aliens through a program called SCAP. The State Criminal Alien Assistance Program is $230 million of taxpayer money given each year to states and counties to cover some of their costs for incarcerating illegal immigrants convicted of crimes. California gets $63 million a year, New York $18 million. Jessica Vaughan with the Center for Immigration Studies says that's absurd.
It's hypocritical for them to, with one hand, hold out their hand for federal funding to help pay for the costs of criminal aliens, and with the other hand, block ICE from the jailhouse door.
It's a program the incoming Trump administration is likely to eliminate for places that also block federal ICE agents from deporting criminal migrants. William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
Incredible insight here, Reverend Fun. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. Yes, I did just say about myself that I have incredible insight. Turns out one thing that didn't change from the transition to a new host is the ego. You guys have to, you do know most of it is shtick, right? Like, Belling didn't really, like, he was always yelling at you with a smile on his face. I myself am not. You're very close to being fired in there. Like, people, though, they would be like, wow, Dan, is he really that mean to Paul? No, it's a joke. It's fun. We have fun. That's what we try to do here, is we have fun. Each and every week, for those unfamiliar with my midday show, we have fun with the strangest stories of the past 7 days. Some of the funniest ones that I can find while scouring the internet, we bring them to you. Segment we call How Bizarre. That's coming up at about 5:20. At about 5:30-ish, we will get to Wayne Larrivee. He is the voice of your Green Bay Packers. Biggest news, unsurprising though it may be, Jair Alexander is out again. Bet you didn't guess that was coming. He has been injury plagued. It just does not seem like he is all in with the Green Bay Packers. Let's just put it that way. Am I reading this wrong? I'll ask Wayne about that. Alexander, of course, with the knee surgery, he's out for the year. Packers play a team that has lost 10 straight games. You'd better believe they want to give the Bears their 11th straight, but there is a lot to play for. If they win and the Washington Redskins, yes, I'm still calling them the Redskins. This is like the Sears Tower of the NFL. Commanders is just a stupid name. And I'm sorry, Guardians, they replaced Indians with Guardians. You know doggone well they were just looking for something that ended in Ians. So they came up with the Guardians of Traffic, which are statues in Cleveland. You couldn't have come up with anything. So they're the Cleveland Guardians. Washington Commanders, like Commander-in-Chief. I mean, I would have accepted Washington. I voted for Washington Whiteskins. Look, all you honkies, if Redskins was okay, you better be okay with Whiteskins. Nobody went along with that with me. But no, seriously, like the baseball team didn't want to go. They went to Washington Nationals when they moved from Montreal instead of going to Washington Senators, which I thought would have been awesome. Bring back the old Washington Senators. What was that? Walter Big Train Johnson pitched for the Senators, I think. They went with Nationals. Washington Senators football team, I think, would be cool. But nobody listens to my suggestions. I, however, listen to yours. Kamala Harris botched the Pledge of Allegiance today. It has, I don't want to say already been forgotten. I never let these things slide or forget about them because you know doggone well the left would never let one of us conservatives forget about this. It's only being overshadowed by the truly hilarious slip of the tongue by the Democrat minority leader over in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, who promised to fart hard for the American people.
We will fight hard for the freedom to vote.
Oh, fart hard. That will follow him almost as long as the actual fart that Eric Swalwell uncorked on MSNBC. Now I know, Paul, did you hear this? Did you hear about this? You know about it. I don't think Belling would have obsessed over the Eric Swalwell fart like we did over the Dan O'Donnell. He was on a segment with, I think it was Chris Matthews. Now, either one of them would have been, and frankly, the more likely culprit was always going to be Chris Matthews, but it sure did look and sound like Eric Swalwell shifted in his seat and let one fly. I'll see if we can find that. So I know I've got it. I guarantee I've got that like 15 different places I saved it because it was so funny. No, we asked you, our listeners, some of the funniest things that you could come up with. Kamala Harris doesn't pledge allegiance to the flag. She botched the line. What does she pledge allegiance to? How about this? I pledge allegiance to Planned Parenthood and to the abortions for which it stands. I pledge allegiance to the woke, who we all know will go broke. This one's very creative. Good pull on this one. I pledge allegiance to the lawns that my middle-class neighbors loved so much when I was growing up. Yeah, that's a great reference right there. I pledge allegiance to Joe Biden, who... Oh, who am I kidding? Screw that guy. Cackle, cackle, cackle. And my favorite from this batch, I pledge allegiance to the flag in 10 different accents and southern drawls. Not correctly, but I can do it depending on which part of the country I'm in. Great reference to Kamala's constant patronizing. We will get to more of my favorite, and you can text in yours. 414-799-1130. That is the AdventKnows.com talk and text line when we return here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
It's time for Rapid Traffic.
Quiet both sides of 4145 as well as both sides of 43. Heavy southbound 894 from Beloit to the Hale Interchange, then eastbound to 76th. Eastbound 94 stop and go from 92nd to 35th. If you see any issues, call the Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank total traffic tip line at 414-944-5111.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
Hi, Matt Geyer here. Local and regional manufacturers, rather than brokering shipments in and out of your manufactory, MKG Transport is the moving partner 100% committed to your bottom line. MKG Transport moves materials, parts, pieces, assemblies for the processes performed by associate businesses. Transported same day, next day, and when needed to keep your production and process moving. Brought back same day, next day. Collaborating with other producers for processes outside your wheelhouse is simple with MKG Transport. Molded plastics or metal to be cut or coated, then moved right back for the next production step. Or simply parts exactly where you need them on time. MKG is a fluid operator. Your individual manufacturing moving needs will become our operational protocol for your business. With MKG, there are no surprises. Your product in process will be where you need it, when you need it. The price quoted is the price you pay. Our drive, manufacturing movement. MKGtransport.com.
Real feedback from Brookfield and Mequon's Reset Restore MD patient.
My daughter's intravenous ketamine treatments made a significant difference in just 2 weeks.
R&R for Relief, Reset Restore MD, rnrmd.com.
This just in, hot off the bench press. Planet Fitness has added new strength equipment. Save $28 or more when you join today, and you can be one of the first to try it out. We're raising the bar with new benches, and our new hack squat will have you actually looking forward to leg day. Plus, we're still repping all of the best-in-class equipment we've always had, with most clubs open 24 hours, so you can work out your way on your time. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends January 10th. See Home Club for details.
We've saved our clients over $19 million in real estate commission. I say this because that's a pretty big number. But at Century 21 Benefit Realty, it's really not about being a top volume agency. Over here, it's more about you. And at 1.9% commission and no more than $19,000 commission, for the listing side of your sale, no matter what size property you're selling, you will save substantially. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated. First off, our 1.9% commission structure helps get their foot in the door, and that's why agents like working here. But what they really like is having the strongest marketing tools available, with the resources to help them sell homes at the highest prices to satisfy their clients. Century 21 Benefit Realty offers what agents like most, and that's to help them be successful. If you really want to believe in the business model that you're representing, give me a call. I'm Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty. Call me, and let's talk about your future. Each office is independently owned and operated.
Insurance sold by Smart Money Insurance Services Incorporated. Underwritten by various insurers. Coverage. Exclusions and limitations may apply.
Did you know the price of a funeral can be $8,000 or more? Don't leave your loved ones with your debts. Download the Smart Money app right now and get up to $25,000 in final expense coverage starting at less than $1 a day. There's no medical exam, and you can be approved even if you have pre-existing health conditions. Download the Smart Money app and get up to $25,000 in coverage for your funeral and other final expenses. Go to the App Store and download the Smart Money app and get instant coverage. Download the Smart Money app now.
Saving you money, I'm Hillary Barsky. So you have collected greeting cards from what seems to be every occasion throughout the year. You feel it's wasteful to toss them, but at the same time, you feel you don't need the clutter. Well, you can always donate them. Many facilities, including schools and daycare centers, could potentially use them for arts and crafts projects and other purposes, or you can get creative and save money by making placemats out of them or turning them into gift tags. You can make longer cards into bookmarks by punching a small hole in a long rectangular piece of card and adding a ribbon and give them as gifts. And why spend money for note paper when you can use the blank area of the card for notes or use the paper for making lists? Or cut out your favorite scenes, say from your Christmas cards, attach a ribbon, and create one-of-a-kind ornaments. Being creative with your greeting cards can perhaps save you some money in the long run. Saving you money, Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
This is where sycophants and chills are shunned, and commitment to the unvarnished truth is sustained. Just one reason that this is Wisconsin's most listened to radio station. News Talk 1130, WISN.
Here's a question. Do you know what quaddemic means? Quaddemic. It's not the hottest EDM DJ in southern France. Viral rap star. Quaddemic. It is what they're now masking again over. A quadruple whammy of viruses are hitting the U.S. as millions go back to work after the holidays, data shows. This from the UK Daily Mail. Official figures reveal that infections caused by flu, COVID, RSV, and the norovirus, which sounds really bad. Do you know what that norovirus is? That's the stomach flu. It's the stomach flu. Do you know what RSV is? Sounds really bad. Sounds really bad, right? It's the respiratory illness that causes the cold. The quaddemic is literally all the stuff that we have been dealing with for the past nearly 5 years, and the stuff that humanity has been dealing with, sans COVID, for thousands of years. Experts say figures will only continue to rise over the coming weeks as the U.S. heads into the peak period of its annual flu season. The surge in infections is prompting a return of mask mandates in some states, with a hospital system in Wisconsin the latest to put in mask mandates. Mask mandates. Do you know which one it is? Take a wild guess. Do you think it's Fredert? Do you think it's Aurora? Do you think it's the UW Health? It is, in fact, Aurora. It confirmed to Channel 12 News in Milwaukee it will institute a mask mandate next week. In a statement, Aurora says the temporary requirement begins January 6th for patients or those in congregate areas like patient rooms. Officials said masks will be available at all entrances to facilities. According to the CDC, Wisconsin currently has the third most cases nationally of whooping cough, behind Pennsylvania and New York. Do you know why? Because it's freaking Wisconsin in the winter and kids get whooping cough. Is it whooping cough or whooping cough or whooping cough? Is it whooping cough? I always like Whoopi Goldberg, Paul says. She is sort of like a dread disease. You need to wear a mask to avoid contagion of stupidity from Whoopi Cough Goldberg. Hospitals in parts of California, Illinois, Indiana, and New Jersey have also brought back the rules for staff and visitors. Officials in New York City are urging people to consider wearing a face mask on public transport. Or what? They'll prosecute you like Daniel Penny for unwittingly killing people with your germs? I can't even tell you. Yeah, Paul says everybody wears them improperly anyway. I can't even tell you. I will be like Braveheart painting half my face blue and screaming freedom as I run into battle to stop this state from implementing mask mandates again. To say that I will not comply is probably the biggest understatement. It's done, it's over, and lest you think that I am some troglodyte conservative who is far too illiterate to heed the warnings and the orders of my betters, I have got every single study that has ever been done on the efficacy of mask wearing done prior to COVID-19, and even one, the most recent before COVID-19, was done in February of 2020, about 3 weeks before the disease hit. Every single one showed the exact same thing, that for airborne illnesses, in other words, things that spread primarily by droplets of water through the air, masks are useless. They do not work. They do not have any impact. What it does is it gives the hypochondriacs, primarily on the left, some modicum of comfort. I was shocked. Absolutely shocked. I'm not going to tell you where I was, but it was at a cultural event in Milwaukee recently. There must have been probably 25 people out of a crowd of maybe 1,000 who were wearing masks. Flying? Paul, I was on an airplane Thanksgiving, and I would say the percentage of mask wearing was alarmingly high. Now, in a plane, okay, you want to feel better. I sort of get it. But come on, people. Dan O'Donnell Show coming back.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Michaels. Well, yeah, it's cold today, but the first real dose of winter comes next week. UW-Madison professor of atmospheric and ocean sciences, John Martin.
We'll end up with a pretty decent snow event, and that'll be followed by easily the coldest air we've seen here in the last 2 or 3, maybe 5 winters. So we'll be desperately cold on Thursday morning with fresh snow cover, fairly light winds. I wouldn't be surprised to see overnight lows into the minus teens, even maybe minus 20 in a few places.
A 19-year-old from West Dallas has now been charged in connection with a crash that left a 17-year-old student from Waukesha West High School dead. Jason Z is now facing charges of homicide by intoxicated use of a vehicle, as well as second-degree reckless homicide for a crash authorities say happened on December 30th at the intersection of Sunset and Guthrie in Waukesha. 17-year-old Megan Voss was killed in that crash. Investigators say that Z's blood alcohol level was .238 following the crash. And 2 former correctional officers are accused of abusing inmates in the Milwaukee County Jail.
30-year-old Rafael Gomez and 25-year-old Marquise Reeder are charged with multiple felonies, including misconduct. Prosecutors say in September the 2 punched and used pepper spray on inmates. Prosecutors also say Reeder was neither trained nor authorized to use the pepper spray, but used it anyway. Following an investigation, the officers were separated from their employment with the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office. Todd Allen, Wisconsin Radio Network.
Checking the Holiday Automotive and Fond du Lac Sports Scoreboard. College basketball tonight. Marquette home to play Creighton at Fiserv. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, WISN News Center, I'm Dave Michaels on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast, presented by AdventKnows.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Clear and cold tonight with temperatures dropping into the single digits by morning. Wind chills will be between -5 and -15. Sunny on Saturday with a high around 22, but still windy. Then more clouds Sunday as snow passes south in Illinois. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, we'll hear from a veteran who fought in the Battle of Fallujah and fought a battle for his soul. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
Tom Nichols with Meisner, Tierney, Fisher, and Nichols.
Recently, Adam Tutai, Randy Brotherhood, and I were asked to present to the Civil Judicial Conference regarding Wisconsin's new business statutes. We've given numerous presentations like this to help educate other lawyers regarding business and tax issues. But in this case, we were helping judges understand the new legislation we helped draft. This law affects all Wisconsin businesses and is specifically relevant to choosing and organizing an entity for your business. Because without proper planning, especially if you have more than one owner, your rights, taxes, and obligations can be compromised. Having helped draft the new law, our attorneys are uniquely familiar with the default rules and how they can be adjusted to best suit your business's needs. It may be the most important set of decisions you make for your business, and with our help, you can feel secure in your corporate structure. After all, it's unlikely that anyone knows this law better than we do.
Good clients deserve good lawyers. Meisner, Tierney, Fisher, and Nichols.
Tune in every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. as Ellen Becker Investment Group highlights local people and organizations who are using their time and their talents to give back to make a difference in our community. Milwaukee's philanthropic community. Visit ellenbecker.com to learn more.
Hot summer night. Lightning strike. Down goes the tree, right through their bedroom wall, nearly ruining a walnut headboard, which is pretty hard wood. Fortunately, the customers were okay. But the headboard? That wasn't. Until they called us. We made that Victorian headboard better than new. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing, repair, and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. Well, if you haven't heard me bragging by now, we're darn good. Actually, my dad has no qualms about saying we're the best. And if you're skeptical, I understand. But all you have to do is go to MullallyFinishing.com to learn why we're great at what we do and see lots of before and after photos that show off our impressive work. So if you're looking for a name you can trust, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY Finishing.com.
I'm defense attorney Tom Grieve. Never drive drunk. If you do, don't believe police officers who tell you it's just a ticket and a 6-month suspension. Pay it and put this behind you. You'll likely have to install an ignition interlock device to blow into before starting your car. Protects the public and shames you with your friends and family. Your license will be revoked. You can go to jail for 1 year if caught driving revoked. Even if you swear you did never drive revoked, most people do. With a to and from work permit, one snowstorm, long meeting, or traffic jam, and you're driving revoked. An officer runs your plate while driving, and you're in even more serious trouble. You'll participate in alcohol and drug assessments, a driver's safety plan, and alcohol classes. You could even lose your job. Prosecutors will tenaciously prosecute you without empathy, regardless of your clean driving record. Your first DUI conviction never disappears from your record. Just a ticket and 6-month suspension, and a Scarlet A for life. Charged with an OWI, your best chance is to call my team of award-winning former state prosecutors. You are only guilty if you are convicted. GrieveLaw.com.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Store, Screen and Door.
Kowal Investment Group is a registered investment advisor. Call 262-522-4040.
News about you and your money. The business report from the Kowal Investment Group.
Good afternoon. This is Tom Krieger with your afternoon business report. Markets were higher today with the NASDAQ and S&P 500 snapping 5-day losing streaks. However, both indexes were still down for the week. Tech stocks were the bright spot with NVIDIA climbing 4.7% and Super Microcomputer jumping 10.9%. Meanwhile, shares of Microsoft are up more than 1% after announcing that the company plans to spend $80 billion to build AI-enabled data centers in 2025. At the close, the Dow was up 339, S&P 500 up 73, and the NASDAQ up 340. The market can be tricky to navigate, but that's why we're here. Schedule your complimentary retirement review online at thekowalway.com.
Promised, I have in the studio here with me Program Director Jerry Bott. We've got Dan O'Donnell in the studio, Ben Yount in the studio, and Vicki McKenna, because there's a major announcement we've been teasing for 2 days.
When Mr. Belling decided to take his program and make it podcast only, obviously that means that we're going to have to make some adjustments.
The next generation is here.
In Afternoon Drive, it will be the Dan O'Donnell Show from 3 to 6.
Welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
I'm not saying I'm already discombobulated with this new schedule here, but I did go to the gym and accidentally walk out with a couple of towels. Yes, I am admitting in front of the largest radio audience in the state and the highest rated radio station in the country. I am admitting to all of you, yeah, I stole towels. Sorry, Princeton Club. You'll get them back after the show. I literally walked out, and the guy at the front desk, we talk, and he's kind of become a buddy of mine. He's like, hey, Dan, I'll be listening, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, yeah, hey, see you later. I'm walking out. I got my gym bag, and I'm walking out with their towels. I'm like, I'm halfway to the station. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I said, you know what? I've got a ton of stuff to do. I don't have time to get back. I then realized as I'm getting ready, because I packed my clothes, I went to the gym, and then I went right to the station to start getting ready for today's show. I didn't wear a belt. I also just realized that I wanted to get a soundbite for the current segment, and I totally forgot to do it. So I needed to run down the hallway from the studio to my office. So your new afternoon host on the highest rated radio station in the United States ran down the hallway in full view of other radio stations with his pants falling off of his rear end. So how's your Friday afternoon going, ladies and gentlemen? If you would like to join the show, the AdventKnows.com talk and text line is open, 414-799-1130. You can reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Email me directly, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. You can also watch the show streaming live via the Dan Cam on YouTube. No, you will not be able to see my suddenly way too loose pants. Yes, for those asking, I have lost a little bit of weight, probably gained it all back during Christmas break, but my pants are a little bit looser than they used to be. Yes, I really hope Shanna Quinn is the afternoon host on FM 106, and I really hope she was not in the studio, because that would be a very difficult one to explain to HR. No, out of anyone, I think Shanna would understand. And on the way out the door, I'm going to walk by and moon the dudes on 97.3 The Game, so there's also that. We are showcasing your creativity, your ingenuity, your sense of humor. Look, I understand that we have the most intelligent, discerning, and best of all, funniest listeners in the entire talk radio game. We lovingly call you Dan Nation. Members of our listener family, I ask you, since Kamala Harris so badly screwed up something as simple as the Pledge of Allegiance while opening up the brand new session of the United States Senate today, what does Kamala actually pledge allegiance to? Some of your answers are downright hilarious. I pledge allegiance to Joe Biden's coloring books. I pledge allegiance to all of the dudes currently dominating female sports. I pledge allegiance to, excuse me, I was speaking. And my favorite, which is an actual quote from Kamala Harris, I pledge allegiance to Ukraine. Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong. That comes from Ted in Long Lake, Wisconsin. That is an honest-to-goodness quote from Kamala Harris. Man, oh man, we didn't dodge a bullet in this presidential election. We as a nation dodged a freaking nuke. I hesitate to make such references because obviously the nation is still dealing with the aftermath of a couple of terror attacks. Authorities in Las Vegas just updated the investigation into the second of 2 terror attacks, a cyber truck which caught fire. It was not laden with explosives at all. According to our media, it just caught fire. Fire hazard, those Elon Musk death trucks. It was hysterical and sad all at the same time watching the media report on this terror attack. And in fact, the construction of the cyber truck itself actually probably saved lives because the blast, because of its steel exterior and the fact that it is so strongly made. You saw the Cybertruck was still, I won't say it was intact, but the roof was blown off of it. The size, it is like a tank, Paul. That's the best way to describe it. It is like when you would see like a blown out tank from World War II. That's what it looked like. Musk actually helped trace the Cybertruck's movements to help law enforcement investigate this terror attack. Now, we still, I know I heard the family of the terror suspect, who, remember, I will not name his name, I will not give him whatever it was that he was seeking in the form of any sort of attention. He was a giant Trump fan. According to his social media, he was also attempting to recruit mercenaries to go fight the war in Ukraine. Now, we're hearing also he was an active duty Green Beret. The information we got is that he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head before he was incinerated, along with everything else inside that Cybertruck. Everything he had in it. I mean, this was a guy who clearly went off the deep end, right? This was a guy who apparently the wife had just left him. I'm taking a wild guess because of his increasingly erratic behavior, the craziness, the obsessiveness, the paranoid delusions about how the world is going to end if we don't save Ukraine. This was a message that was sent, and he may have been a giant Trump fan, but clearly, he was trying to hurt people at a Trump property using an Elon Musk truck. Trying to assign meaning to that might be a little difficult because the guy was very obviously severely mentally ill. The first terror attack that killed 14 people, is it 14 or 15? I apologize. It's always difficult because some counts include the terrorists, some don't. I never want to. Yeah, it went from 15 to 14, but I think it's because some news outlets don't count the dead terrorist, and I will count myself among those news outlets. I'm not going to include the dead terrorist as a victim of the crime. He was the perpetrator. Suffice it to say, more than 13 people were killed, dozens more injured when he plowed his truck through the New Year's Eve celebration in New Orleans. This was someone who was clearly motivated by the global jihad. This was a jihadi. He pledged allegiance to ISIS, and in a disgusting display, American citizens, we think, were marching in support of it. Not a terror attack, clearly not a terror attack. They just happened to time their march in New York City in support of Palestinians and the rights of Muslims around the world. It was a celebratory march that totally wasn't in response to a deadly terror attack that killed 14 American citizens. No. Wasn't anything like that. But the point is that we know what that attack was about. The All-State Sugar Bowl was postponed as a result of this attack by a day. And when the Sugar Bowl was finally played, first of all, ESPN thought after a terror attack the previous day, it just wasn't appropriate to play the national anthem on television. I'm dead serious. They did not play the national anthem. And it was a beautiful rendition. If I had more time, I would have played it in its entirety. The woman who sang it did a phenomenal job. The crowd, as you might imagine, went nuts. What ESPN did play, however, was this message from the CEO of Allstate, Tom Wilson.
Welcome to the Allstate Sugar Bowl. Wednesday, tragedy struck the New Orleans community. Our prayers are with the victims and their families. We also need to be stronger together by overcoming an addiction to divisiveness and negativity. Join Allstate working in local communities all across America to amplify the positive, increase trust, and accept people's imperfections and differences. Together, we win.
Yeah. He really made it all about celebrating diversity. I mean, is he going to deliver this message in the mosque that this psychopath went to, which, by the way, was telling its members, don't talk to the media. We don't want them thinking that the rest of you are sympathetic to this guy. We don't want people thinking that, hey, there are an awful lot of people who seem to be really, really into the global jihad movement. I don't know what it is about lefties like this. They simply cannot condemn Islamic terrorism. Is it because on the pyramid of victimhood, Muslims just aren't high enough? Is that what we're... This is about all of us and our intolerance. Coming up in How Bizarre, I kind of hesitate to do this jokingly. The Taliban, so men don't see women in their homes where they might be, not dressed in the full burqa. They're banning windows. They're banning windows. Can we talk to them, Tom, about tolerance? Can we talk to them about celebrating the diversity of the sexes? Can we get some sensitivity training in the hardline Muslim community so, they aren't throwing gay men off of buildings? This is typical namby-pamby liberalism that, unfortunately, it's harmless when it comes from some idiot CEO in an ESPN 30-second bit. But when it comes from people who are tasked with investigating and stopping terror attacks, you get things like we've got in the last 4 years that made us more vulnerable because you have got the FBI, because you have got the DOJ genuinely believing that the real threat to the American homeland isn't lone wolf terror attacks like the ones we saw yesterday or 2 days ago, but rather this nebulous concept of white supremacy, of right-wing hicks who aren't tolerant enough of transgenders. Yes, that's where the real terrorism comes. And if we could just get those cavemen to be more enlightened like we are, then we would all be a much better world. Again, harmless when it comes from some hippy-dippy CEO, very harmful and very dangerous for the rest of us when it comes from the people tasked with keeping us safe from radical jihadis. Once again, and I don't think I can possibly say it enough, I cannot wait for January 20th. January 20th, quite simply, cannot come fast enough. What's coming up next? Our weekly look back at the strangest stories of the week. How bizarre? Stay tuned.
It's time for Rapid Traffic.
8 apiece on 4145 between the Zoo and Good Hope. Only 10 both sides of 43 between the Marquette and Brown Deer. Got a crash off to the right shoulder out near Delafield, 94 westbound at Highway P. If you see any issues, call the Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank total traffic tip line at 414-944-5111. I'm Kevin Henry.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, we'll hear from a veteran who fought in the Battle of Fallujah and fought a battle for his soul. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
107,471. Is that A, the number of minutes spent listening to your kids describe their favorite YouTuber's latest video? B, the combined number of calories you consume during football season? Or C, the number of households left without power during one of the last big winter storms? While A and B may be true, the real answer is C. But this winter, that 6-digit number can be reduced by 1 with your brand new whole house Generac generator from Mr. Holland's Home Services. We hardwire your new generator directly into your home's electrical system. Lights stay glowing, Wi-Fi goes on flowing, and your furnace keeps it going. All thanks to your new whole house Generac generator from Mr. Holland's Home Services. Oh, did I mention payments for as low as $99 a month? Call 866-992-1717 or visit MrHollandsHomeservices.com. Ready to power through another winter? We can help.
Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you. It's deer season in Wisconsin, but I'm not talking about hunting. I'm talking, unfortunately, about car crashes. If you're unlucky and get into a collision with a deer, you could be entered into Mander's Hit a Deer, Win a Deer contest. That's deer as in John Deere, as in a brand new John Deere tractor mower. My friends at Mander want to add some positivity to what can be a stressful, traumatic event. So now through February 28th, anyone who hits a deer and has their vehicle repaired at any Mander Collision location will be entered into a drawing for a new Deere tractor. Hit a Deer, Win a Deer, now through February 28th at all Mander locations. Start your repair today at mandercollision.com and find out why Mander truly is your best decision after a collision.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Best wishes for a happy and prosperous new year from George and Holly Boggs at the Sawmill Restaurant and Pub in Richfield, serving delicious home-style meals for generations. Just take the Holy Hill exit from Highway 41, turn west, and then right on Wolf Road. The Sawmill is just around the bend on your left.
In almost every case, when Advent has solved a breathing triangle problem, it is a one and done. Because we don't want you to be a lifelong patient. We want you to be our next success story.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference.
If you're a fan of our Wisconsin sports teams, here's the perfect podcast for you. The Larrivee and LePage podcast with 2 Hall of Fame broadcasters. Wayne Larrivee, the voice of the Green Bay Packers, and Matt LePage, the voice of Wisconsin Badgers football and men's basketball. Together bringing you insights and guests, talking Packers, Badgers, Brewers, Bucks, and more. Listen to the Larrivee and LePage podcast. Available anytime on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to podcasts. Presented by UW Credit Union. Here for every you.
Show summaries, podcasts, political tidbits,
and the hottest photo galleries in radio. All available to you whenever you demand them at newstalk1130.com.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. It is time now on a Friday afternoon. Let's face it, we're done with the work week. At least most of you folks are. I've still got another half hour. Man, oh man. What did I do with my life? I could have been like 4 Mai Tais deep right now. with the old shift. I would clearly be at dinner right now. I'm going to walk outside. It's pitch black, not know what to do with myself. My weekend starts in 35 minutes. Yours might have already started. Regardless, it's the time of the week when we, frankly, stop caring about the serious and instead focus on the silly, the strange, the stories of the past 7 days that made us laugh, made us maybe weep for the future of humanity, made us cock an eyebrow, made us scratch our heads and say to ourselves, Russia has fined at least 7 people after a police raid on a nightclub in Tula. This according to an analysis of court records by an independent Russian media outlet. What was the finable offense? Looking too gay. At least 8 people were detained during the operation, which videos showed was carried out by men in military-style uniforms and helmets. Police charged the detainees with, quote, trying to arouse interest in non-traditional Russian sexual relations, which has been a crime in Russia for a decade, though it's usually directed at those publishing pro-LGBT material, not for those wearing, quote, unmanly clothing. It comes as the Kremlin ramps up a push to promote a traditional values agenda that has included tightening anti-LGBT legislation and banning propaganda promoting a child-free lifestyle. According to the Verstka news site, police photographed and provided descriptions of the Tula detainees whose clothing they suspected had promoted non-traditional sexual relations. One man had crosses of black tape glued to his, I know there are a lot of kids, but it's nipples. I can say nipples, right? Yeah, okay, you can say nipples. And a woman's-style corset on his naked body. Another had pink socks, an unbuttoned kimono over his shoulders, his hair dyed bright orange, and red tattoos on his face. Although a man, he was wearing a short top covering his chest, black leather shorts above the knee on which there were several chain-shaped ornaments, and fishnet tights. You see, there are just significant cultural differences at play here. In Russia, you wear stuff like that, you get arrested. In America, you wear stuff like that, they let you play women's sports and you get invited to the Biden White House. That was not the correct one I wanted to play, Paul. Here we go. Let's try this again. All right, we knew there were going to be some growing pains here. Where did you put the other one? Oh, I couldn't see it in there. All right, hold on. We're going to move it. You know what the bizarre thing would be is actually if everything worked like it's supposed to work. Here we go. Ready, set, let's try this again. There we go. How bizarre. Oh my gosh, this was just, this is too funny. A 67-year-old woman who once warned others about the dangers of a Keanu Reeves romance scam has now become a victim of a Keanu Reeves romance scam. The story in itself isn't totally funny. She is homeless. She's lost thousands of dollars. Her story began in 2022. Her name is Catherine Goodson. She was initially tricked by an individual posing as Keanu Reeves. The story from KNSD TV. She explained to the station how she was convinced to send a $500 gift card to the fake Keanu to prove she wasn't interested in his money. Let me say that again, because some of you may have elderly relatives. She was convinced to send $500 to Keanu Reeves to prove that she wasn't into Keanu Reeves for his money. So Keanu Reeves needed $500. I gotta tell you, that's a new one on me. She realized it was a scam and blocked him. After posting a warning about it, another profile reached out to Goodson, also pretending to be Keanu Reeves. They claimed they were attempting to console her about the previous scam attempt Catherine fell for it and eventually felt that the two were in love. She said he wanted to marry me. Unfortunately, I wasn't maybe listening to the warning signs. I don't blame anyone but myself. She ended up sending Bitcoin gift cards and wire transfers to the imposter over a period of 2 years, believing she was helping Keanu with supposed financial issues. She admits she was lonely despite the ongoing deception. She continues to try to make sense of her choices and urges others not to fall for similar scams. Now, while it's easy to, laugh and make fun, there is a serious thing. If you do have somebody who you believe to be at risk of falling victim to a scam like this, please do look out for them. Talk to them about who they're communicating with online. This goes for kids. This goes for the elderly. This goes for people who might be mentally compromised in some way. And please, Keanu, stop scamming those old ladies. I don't care how badly you need a couple Bitcoins. Finally, move aside Generation X, move aside Millennials, move aside my kids' Generation Alpha. We now have a fresh crop of kids. Babies born between 2 days ago, 2025, and 2039 are now in Generation Beta. Generation Beta. Now, this is exciting. Generation could and probably should, if they take care of themselves, live well into the new century. But Beta isn't just the second letter of the Greek alphabet. It also, among the Generation Alphas and us Millennials, has a different connotation. Beta means, well, beta male, as in not an alpha male, but someone who is sort of weak, sort of wishy-washy, sort of, they're beta. I don't know how to, yeah, like that. Paul did the, yeah, it's beta. A lot of people who are going to be giving birth to Generation Beta kids. In fact, one of my very, very good friends, congratulations in advance to Todd and Chelsea, they're about to have a little baby girl literally any day now. They are going to have a beta child. I'm sorry, I love you both, but it is true. You are going to have a beta child. I don't want a beta kid. I'm not going to have any more kids. I sort of made sure of that without getting into too many details. But I sure as heck am probably going to have beta grandkids. I don't know do you want beta grandkids? You're going to have more grandkids, I'm guessing. Is one of your daughters pregnant right now, or don't you know? Well, they just had the wedding. Yeah, not that you know of, right? Exactly. The wedding. They just did have the wedding. I'm beta, Generation Beta. And are we so lacking in creativity that we're so, alpha, beta? We go X, Y, Z. Like, boomers was good. The baby boom, there was a baby boom. Generation X was called Generation X because it was, I forget the exact reason, but it was sort of like, it was a statement about, I don't know, hell, whatever. Yeah, that was it. That was it exactly. It was like it wasn't like the greatest generation or the silent generation or the baby boom generation. It's just sort of, it perfectly describes Generation Xers. Just sort of, whatever, I don't care. You think I care? I don't care. I don't care. That was all. Like, I'm an Xennial. I'm like the youngest Generation Xer / oldest millennial. I was born in 1981. So I'm like right at that little cusp. And I get it. I absolutely get it. We have Wayne Larrivee coming up next. Ladies and gentlemen, here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, this has been your weekly look back at the strangest stories of the past 7 days in a segment we call... I swear, Paul, we are going to get the glitches out of this. I know you've never done this before. It is a segment that we call... How bizarre! There we go! How bizarre! Turns out you can teach old Gen Xers new tricks. Now push the button to go to break.
From the Lynch Truck Center, Total Traffic Center, 94 eastbound, stopping and going in pockets. From 84th over to 27th, westbound is okay. Southbound on 4145, just a little tight around Capitol, clearing up before Burleigh. If you see any issues, you can call the Total Traffic Tip line at 414-944-5111. I'm Kevin Henry.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get 60% off, free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
I'm defense attorney Tom Grieve. Never drive drunk. If you do, don't believe police officers who tell you it's just a ticket and a 6-month suspension. Pay it and put this behind you. You'll likely have to install an ignition interlock device to blow into before starting your car. Protects the public and shames you with your friends and family. Your license will be revoked. You can go to jail for 1 year if caught driving revoked. Even if you swear you did never drive revoked, most people do. With a to and from work permit, one snowstorm, long meeting, or traffic jam, and you're driving revoked. An officer runs your plate while driving, and you're in even more serious trouble. You'll participate in alcohol and drug assessments, a driver's safety plan, and alcohol classes. You could even lose your job. Prosecutors will tenaciously prosecute you without empathy, regardless of your clean driving record. Your first DUI conviction never disappears from your record. Just a ticket and 6-month suspension, and a Scarlet A for life. Charged with an OWI, your best chance is to call my team of award-winning former state prosecutors. You are only guilty if you are convicted. GrieveLaw.com.
Real feedback from Brookfield and Mequon's Reset Restore MD patient.
My daughter's intravenous ketamine treatments made a significant difference in just 2 weeks.
R&R for relief. Reset Restore MD. rnrmd.com.
The Greater Midwest RV Show is coming to the Baird Convention Center in downtown Milwaukee, and you're invited. 3 days only. Friday, January 10th through Sunday the 12th, with hundreds of campers on display. All brought to you by your good friends at the Cunis RV Group and Quiet Woods RV. Exclusive Greater Midwest RV Show discounts and savings on America's best-selling RV and camper brands, including Fifth Wheels, travel trailers, and motorhomes. Plus, special event low APR financing during the show. Free delivery within 50 miles included with every purchase. New 2024s and 2025s available with huge manufacturer discounts and incentives. Free admission to all RV and camper enthusiasts. We're paying above average value for all RV and camper trades, no matter what the condition. It's the biggest selection of America's best-selling RV and camper brands, all under one roof. Don't miss the huge Greater Midwest RV Show. 3 days only. Friday, January 10th through Sunday the 12th at the Baird Convention Center, 400 West Wisconsin Avenue in downtown Milwaukee, or online at GreaterMidwestRVShow.com.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch-certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires. It's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
I'm Dave Brownsdorf, president of Flawless Flooring. It's true, there's nothing quite like the scent of freshly steam-cleaned, worn carpet other than a wet dog or cat's litter box. However, Flawless's customer satisfaction-driven, unprecedented growth pinched the Milwaukee metro flooring industry to the point major carpet companies are no more. We've added quality carpeting lines, becoming your true one-stop flooring shop. Flawless Flooring's New Berlin and Delafield showrooms feature virtually unheard of in the flooring industry, upfront accurate pricing, including installation on every display. Know how much carpet, LVP, or modern laminate flooring you need? You can calculate exact pricing as you shop. Want to expand your existing hardwood flooring? Flawless's employee-only craftsmen strip existing flooring, install new hardwood, then finish old and new together for a perfect, looks all original floor. Lock in purchasing power of today's dollars for money you'll earn up to 21 months from now with Flawless's no money down, zero interest financing. Sensory underload, Flawless Flooring. FlawlessFlooringLLC.com. That's FlawlessFlooringLLC.com.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
I'm Gianna Gelosi with your Fox True Crime Minute. She spent 30 years in prison for murdering the Tejano superstar Selena, and now she says it's time to be released. Yolanda Saldivar is seeking parole in the new year, with the New York Post reporting she filed paperwork to be released. Her eligibility date is March 30th. A rep at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice told the Post the 64-year-old killer has no blemishes on her prison record. Saldivar fatally shot 23-year-old Selena Quintanilla Perez on March 31st, 1995, in a hotel room in Corpus Christi during a confrontation. Selena believed that Saldivar, a founder of her fan club, had embezzled more than $60,000, and the singer was planning to fire her. Saldivar has long maintained she didn't mean to kill Selena and was actually meaning to kill herself. A jury didn't believe the story, though, and slapped her with life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years. Inmates at the prison where Saldivar is being held told the Post that she's constantly a target. There's more on this story at foxnews.com or subscribe to the Fox True Crime Podcast. I'm Gianna Gelosi with your Fox True Crime Minute.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. It is time for This Week with Wayne Larrivee, a conversation about the latest news and developments with the Green Bay Packers. Wayne Larrivee, of course, the voice of your Green Bay Packers, and is presented by R&R Insurance, the knowledge brokers. This week, the Packers wrap up the regular season at home against the Chicago Bears, and they are still playing for something, not just to ensure that the Bears end the season with 11 straight losses, which would be nice, but if the Packers win and the Washington Commanders lose, the Packers move from the 7th seed to the 6th seed. Wayne, how big is that? Are you looking at this game as one that the Packers should win, in as much as, I mean, they should be winning every game. You'd like to see them go into the playoffs with a win, but how important is it to move out of that 7th seed in a date with the Philadelphia Eagles?
I think it's pretty important in that regard, but more than anything, Dan, the Packers, after not playing up to what they felt was their standard in Minnesota, they need to get a win. They're a young team that needs to go into the playoffs on a winning note. That's the most important aspect of this. Go into the playoffs, regardless of where you go for the postseason. Just go in on a good note. Kind of get the stench of that Minnesota game out of their system.
One of the most amazing things to me about this NFL season is that the Bears were once 4-2, that they started this season pretty well. Caleb Williams didn't start off great, but he was at least serviceable. You started to see the progression, and then it seems like everything just went wrong. It was another typical Bears season. Is this going to be this franchise for the foreseeable future, or have you seen enough from Caleb Williams' development that if they put pieces around them, this could be an organization that takes a step forward?
Well, number one, he has all the ability in the world. Unfortunately, at the quarterback position, that's not the determining factor. All the guys at quarterback have tools, and he has tools in abundance. I think he's going to be a great quarterback because I think the kid is tough. I think he's mentally tough, and, he's going through a season of adversity, but it doesn't appear like he's getting broken. Now, they could screw him up. He's already on his second offensive coordinator in his rookie season. He'll probably be on his third offensive coordinator the start of next season. These are the kinds of things when things are in flux and continue to change that ruin quarterbacks. Now, you talk about pieces around him. They put pieces around him. All right, DeAndre Swift at running back is a 1,000-yard rusher. Maybe not this year, but has been in the past. Rome Odunze, one of the top receivers in the draft. Keenan Allen, going to be a first-ballot Hall of Fame wide receiver, comes in from the Chargers. They have DJ Moore. These guys are top-notch perimeter players. Cole Kmet is an excellent tight end. They've got pieces around him. What they don't have in front of him is a good offensive line. And, we have found that the best teams in this league are teams that build from the offensive line out instead of out into the offensive line like the Bears have done in reverse.
The Packers seem to have a pretty good offensive line. Jordan Love has had an injury-plagued beginning of the season. I think he disappointed in some respects, especially for those of us who play fantasy football. But this guy, in contrast to Caleb Williams, where there are still questions, and I do believe in his talent, the Packers have a great offense around him. Is this a team, as you see it right now, that can make a deep playoff run? Because what I've heard about the Packers season thus far is that it's been all chalk. They've beaten the teams that they were supposed to beat, and they've lost to all the teams that seem a little bit better than them. Believe it or not, they're 1-4 in the division because they just can't beat arguably two of the three best teams in the NFL, Detroit and Minnesota. Do you think the Packers, in spite of that, can get a win over a Philadelphia, could get a win over a Minnesota or Detroit potentially in the division round, and could go back to the NFC Championship game?
Oh, sure. And, things seem to change. Boy, when you flip that page from regular season to postseason, things change. It's amazing to me, but it is a whole new season. And, anything can happen on a given Sunday, especially with good teams. Now, the Packers are a good team. Those other teams you're talking about are a level above, and the Packers haven't beaten any of them yet. So for me to sit here and say, well, yeah, they're going to definitely make a long run, I can't say definitely, but can they beat one of those teams? I think they can, because they've shown they can play with all of those teams. Yeah, what's that old cliche? Any given Sunday, it multiplies tenfold in the playoffs. The big issue, I think, that's really been going on for the past several weeks, obviously, is the status of Jair Alexander. He undergoes surgery for his knee. He's done for the season, but I think the questions for him and his future with the Packers go a lot deeper than that. What do you make of the Alexander drama this season, Wayne? Yeah, it's unfortunate. He's got that knee injury that came up on the last play at Jacksonville. It was a non-contact injury. And by the way, for those who don't realize this, the non-contact injuries in football are usually much worse than the contact injuries. Mm-hmm. Trust me.
Yeah.
But so he's never been able to get right. And the problem when you're a perimeter player, a wide receiver, or a cornerback, you make your living with your legs. And if you're not 100% from the waist down, don't go out on the football field. Don't go out there because you'll only hurt your team. He tried to go out in Chicago, play 10 plays, didn't quite make it, and, has been down since. There's no question the Packers are a much better defense, pass defense, when he's on the field as compared to when he's off. The numbers show that. I mean, the passer rating when Jair Alexander is on the field for the opposing quarterbacks is a cumulative 77.5. When he's off the field, it's 103.4. Those are numbers. Those are facts. Now, the Packers have played this season, virtually the entire season, without him. And, so they understand how to go about that part of the business. Carrington Valentine is an improving cornerback. Keyshawn Nixon has proven to be a much better cover corner than we thought he was. Plus, he plays that physical style that you'll love to see on the perimeter of your defense. The slot cornerback situation's been in flux. The rookies have had injury issues up and down the lineup for the Packers. Javon Bullard in the slot when he's healthy. Evan Williams when he's healthy at safety. They've been good when they've been on the field. The problem has been keeping them healthy, and that's been the problem, unfortunately, for this draft class. Even Edgerrin Cooper, who's emerging at linebacker, Dan, has had, he missed 3 games due to injury. And, of course, the number 1 pick, Jordan Morgan, has been out with an injury, and so has Marshawn Lloyd, another high draft pick at running back. This rookie class, watch out next year. If these guys are healthy next year, they're going to give this team a big boost. But right now, they've kind of struggled through injuries. They've contributed, but maybe not as much as they had hoped.
And right now, the Packers are preparing for the Chicago Bears season finale at Lambeau Field, 12 noon on Sunday. Wayne Larrivee will be on the call. Wayne, as always, it is such a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Great, Dan. Appreciate it. Congratulations on the new gig.
Well, thank you so much, my friend. Wayne Larrivee, presented by R&R Insurance, the Knowledge Brokers. You are listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back.
It's time for Rapid Traffic.
16 minutes either side of 94 between Moreland and the Marquette interchange. Westbound got a crash on the right shoulder at the stadium. Slow back to 35th. Eastbound delays between 84th and 35th. If you see any issues, call the Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank total traffic tip line at 414-944-5111. I'm Kevin Henry.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, we'll hear from a veteran who fought in the Battle of Fallujah and fought a battle for his soul. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
I'm Benefit Company's Kurt Otto. INET is a knowledgeable, enthusiastic, innovative, creative, focused, true genius, an expert at branding business visually and telling your story, making potential new business make contact.
Your marketing guru or web developer can't do what INET does, maximizing your business profitability. Just like you can't keep up with regulations and see all opportunity to maximize business efficiencies like your in-sourced benefit companies will. ConnectandSimplify.com.
CreativeGeniusMarketing.com. INET-web.com.
I'm Dan Voss from Cut and Go. Ugly and depressing and trees killed off by emerald ash, oak wilt, and Dutch elm disease are dangerous for friends and loved ones, even a potential liability. Slowly rotting, left-standing hardwood trees can weigh tens of thousands of pounds. Even seemingly smaller branches can weigh tens, even hundreds of pounds. With Cut and Go, there is no reason to risk injury or property damage. Live trees in precarious placement for an arborist to remove over homes, garages, commercial buildings, luxury landscapes are easily and safely laid on the ground by Cut and Go's NCCER crane-operated certified remote control automobile mounted articulating crane grapple saw operators. You can save big money and stock up on firewood by having Cut and Go put your trees on the ground for you to clean up or have a bonfire or split firewood, or we can take it all with us when we leave. A Tons of Trees movement. CutandGoTrees.com. That's CUTNGO trees.com. Once again, that's CutandGoTrees.com.
Many times, patients have symptoms they didn't know were actually related to their airway breathing issues.
I was suffering from sinus issues, jaw issues, neck pain. I guess I just kind of had my breaking point.
Unfortunately, this is typical. But until you get to the root of your problem, it's going to just persist. Fortunately, Jody took action, and the results were typical as well.
My quality of life is so different. But one of the first things that I noticed was my breathing. I don't ever remember being able to breathe like that.
Being able to breathe freely is life-changing, and the effects can go beyond that.
Sleeping better, having more energy, and it seemed as if all of those symptoms that I had just melted away.
And thank heavens for that, because at Advent, results are what drive us, helping you breathe well so you can live better.
Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you. It's deer season in Wisconsin, but I'm not talking about hunting. I'm talking, unfortunately, about car crashes. If you're unlucky and get into a collision with a deer, you could be entered into Mander's Hit a Deer, Win a Deer contest. That's deer as in John Deere, as in a brand new John Deere tractor mower. My friends at Mander want to add some positivity to what can be a stressful, traumatic event. So now through February 28th, anyone who hits a deer and has their vehicle repaired at any Mander Collision location will be entered into a drawing for a new Deere tractor. Hit a Deer, Win a Deer, now through February 28th at all Mander locations. Start your repair today at mandercollision.com and find out why Mander truly is your best decision after a collision.
WISN. Big taxers, big spenders, political cronies, global warming alarmists, charlatans, liars, scam artists, and feeders at the public trough. The threats to your happiness are many, but that's where we can help. News Talk 1130 WISN. Our truth shall keep you free.
We'd like to take a moment and remember all those NFL players with a broken heart.
Cairo Santos for the game. Here's the snap. The kick is blocked, and the Packers have won. Beautiful. And the Packers have won 11 straight over the Bears.
Sunday, Packers, Bears. Doug Russell in the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet Above the Rest pregame show is live at 8 a.m. on your home for Packers football. 97.3 The Game.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style, and a whole lot of other stuff, too, including sports. We thank Wayne Larrabee for joining us each and every Friday during the football season to preview your Green Bay Packers. Yes, this was sort of a holdover from the Friday afternoon show. And for those asking, yes, this is the Dan O'Donnell Show. It is not the Friday afternoon show, which aired for 5 years on WISN every Friday. No, I was not able to negotiate getting Fridays off. They said I have to do the show for at least 30 years before they'll even consider it. We might see the very last NFL game of Aaron Rodgers this weekend. He was not coy about his future when talking to who else, Pat McAfee, but I think resigned to the fact that the Jets and their owner, Woody Johnson, or rather the Xbox, who is apparently serving as the New York Jets general manager. For those who don't get that reference, look up why Woody Johnson nixed a trade for star wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, who is the one good thing about the Cleveland Browns this year, because his Madden rating was not high enough. I wish I was kidding you on this. Rodgers said when asked about his future with the Jets, ask Woody. This tells me that he has been told that Aaron will make a decision on your future. Now, the Jets are going to draft at one of the top spots in the NFL draft this coming April, which will be held in, you got it, Green Bay, Wisconsin. A lot to look forward to in 2025. Last year, we had the Republican National Convention come to Milwaukee. This year, we're having the NFL Draft come to Green Bay. Are there any other big national, international events coming to Wisconsin? No golf. I feel like there's a women's... Was there I think the ladies PGA, LPGA, is coming in a couple of years. Wasn't there a senior tour event coming to Whistling Straits? 2023? Or was it 21? Was it postponed? Because of all the years are starting to run together on me. Because of COVID, Whistling Straits had the Ryder Cup, which I believe was 2022, now that I'm thinking about it. Or was it? Heck, I don't know. It's late on a Friday afternoon, and I'm about ready to go to dinner. If I may, first couple of shows in the books, it's really nothing new. I filled in for Belling the last 2 years, so I'm used to doing this. It is different. It is an adjustment now that it's my show at a different time, but I can't thank you enough for bearing with us. We've had a couple of kinks that we need to work out in the next couple of days and weeks, but I would say, Paul, a pretty darn good first couple of broadcasts. Wouldn't you? Yeah, I absolutely would. We will be back here Monday afternoon, 3 to 6 p.m., as we will each and every weekday. It's the Dan O'Donnell Show. Hope everyone has a fun and safe weekend.